Jags, though, I want to ask about Noah Cameron a little bit, too, because he's, the fifth rated prospect. Yeah, I don't know how that works, the exact cutoff. That's a great question. We can ask him if you really want to know. I don't know.
Is it a couple of months, a month? I can't remember exactly the timeline.
Eventually, you obviously phase out. You're not a prospect anymore, but I don't know what the cutoff is.
Yeah.
Is it games? Is it innings? I have no clue how that works.
That'll be exciting to talk about him. We'll obviously give you a Jack Watch here in just a minute, as it's important to know that he bounced back pretty well.
Yeah, Dusty's updating the board.
Out.
The whiteboard behind you, he is still in here, and he is updating with new numbers. 8 games worth of data for one Jack Caglianone.
Yeah, it seems like it's going just fine. I will say on my drive into work, can I make one mild complaint right before we start and talk about Noah Cameron?
Complaint?
What's wrong with you all with not turning on your lights when driving in the rain?
Oh.
Wipers
on, lights on, right? Yeah.
Too many of you. Not just for the legality part of it. I've obviously broken a lot of laws. We've covered that on this show. The point is that I'm not trying to get, slammed into or have you slam into me or anything else in between just because you can't turn your lights on. It's real easy, I'll say. Anymore, and especially if you got a car that's
newer
made
cars are auto.
Your car, your car or newer, you just put the auto function on it and you don't even worry about it.
Yeah, newer cars have the auto function, so it usually takes care of itself. Mine does not, no.
Oh, man, you got to just turn it on old school, huh?
I do, yeah. It's a 2013, man.
Does it beep when you... Does it beep if you leave them on, will your battery die?
Yes, it'll. When I turn the car off, it'll do that. And I have the blind spot monitoring and everything too, but I doesn't. 2013 did not have the standard auto, halogen lights or LED, whatever the new stuff is now.
Man, you're getting not the auto lights. I'm just saying, turn them on. Yeah. That's all.
Because Cody might stop on the highway and you might rear end him.
I don't need to.
Not that that's happened before.
No, it was the other way around, and it sucked. That's all. It was a small observation this morning coming in, and I was very annoyed by it.
I thought it was related to Noah Cameron or something. I was like, what is your...
I was very excited. No complaints about Noah Cameron.
Let's start there.
What complaint would I have about Noah Cameron?
Let's start there. How about we start with Noah Cameron, because he did make some history last night. He is just the second pitcher since 1893, according to Elias Sports Bureau.
So tungsten arm module or whatever?
He's the second pitcher since 1893 with 6 1/3 or more innings pitched and 1 run or less in his first 4 now MLB starts. Look, the first one you might have said, okay, you know what? Nice outing, little luck, whatever. Great defense behind him. You see what the gloves
looked like in those days, man? They were practically just catching with their bare hands.
And I would argue last night, out of his 4 outings in terms of the way he pitched, might have been his worst stuff since he's been up, and yet he's still...
Since maybe his first start,
Yeah, and yet he was able to go out there and once again gave you a great chance to win a game. You end up getting some offense to back him up, a little bit of offense to back him up, and then Carlos gets you 4 outs to get the save, his 15th of the season. So Noah Cameron continues to be an unbelievable story for this team, while Reagans and Lugo are on the IL. And that's what I think the conversation has to turn to. What the hell did you do here? It's a good problem to have.
Oh, it's a great problem to have.
We had Vern on yesterday, and Vern said, they might just send them back down to Omaha when those guys are back. The way he's pitching, can you do that? Do you do that?
Okay, so there are only 2 realistic options available to you in this situation. One is to just send him down, like you did the last time. Remember when he was in the middle of a no-hitter, and then you decided to send him back down to the minor leagues because that's life as a minor leaguer? But now since then, he's come back up and made 3 excellent level starts for your team. So I got to be honest, the wanting to send him down thing is really slowing down my want to send him down.
I don't know if anybody wants to send him down. It's just, do they, you mentioned the options. What Michael Lorenzen
The only other choice is to send Lorenzen to the bullpen.
Yeah.
I view it as only the 2 choices. You either send him back down and he makes his start in AAA, or you concede Michael Lorenzen to the bullpen. And while I'll tell you, that is a risky proposition because as of right now, or you can trade Michael Lorenzen or trade Noah Cameron way too early. And I got to be honest, that seems unlikely at best to be a good solution And like finding a trade partner is going to be borderline impossible. But if you send Lorenzen to the bullpen, then you risk it. I think you just send Cameron down for a couple of starts. You hope Lorenzen catches fire. And then come June 18th, you find a team looking for a starter, or he's a sweetener, or they've seen enough to kind of know he can start again, and you make that choice. I honestly think they're going to send him down. It kind of bums me out because he's done everything to deserve to stay at the big league level. He's been phenomenal.
And he's a great insurance option to have for everything, because there will be some other injuries perhaps. I think the other option we're not considering, it's a short-term option, is, hey, Lugo, maybe he's available this weekend, but Cole Reagans, does he, you know what? He's got the groin injury twice now so far. Would it hurt to give him an extra week? Maybe he goes and does a rehab assignment in AAA. Omaha, and it just, you drag it out. You buy yourself another week or so.
But you got to convince Reagans to just drag out his rehab. Yeah.
You let him rest, knowing this is about the long haul. You had the same injury twice already, so we don't want to push this thing. He gives you the luxury to be patient. Maybe that's the short-term fix, because one of two things is going to happen with Lorenzen, I think. Let's be real. As great as he's been, the last two outings have not been as sharp for him. So does he bounce back in this next outing? Or if he struggles for a third straight outing, well, I would argue his trade value is already being impacted. So, yeah, you move him to the bullpen, and it might hurt some of Lorenzen's trade value. But if he continues to, if he has a third or fourth outing in a row where he struggles, well, that's also hurting his value. So I think a lot of this is going to sort itself out. You know, people on the text line, 913-586-7965, mentioning, you know, a six-man rotation. But I think a lot of this gets figured out because Lorenzen, one way or the other, either he starts pitching better again, or if he doesn't, then I think both trade value, whether you put him in the bullpen or leave him in the rotation, is getting impacted, and so maybe you're not as concerned about that.
I guess, do you try to trade? So, like, Michael Lorenzen, of the available starters right now, let's say the six guys, and, you know, some of them we just know they'd never trade, but of the six guys, Michael Lorenzen has the worst value of the six. Where does Lugo rank versus Noah Cameron? Where does Bubic rank amongst Reagans and Waka? Like, if you were, and Waka, he's in a multi-year deal. So, like, let's just rule out Reagans and Waka are just instant no-goes. Like, they're never going to even be brought up in a
Lugo,
trade discussion.
Cameron,
under any
Bubic, and Lorenzen are really the only four. And by the way, I'm not moving on from Bubic. I'm not trading Bubic. To me, it's a Lugo, Lorenzen, Noah Cameron conversation. If you're in favor of trading a pitcher to go help you get a bat, one way or the other.
And that's the case. It's like, I don't know, man. For a Royals organization, I just got to say, for a team and budget and all these other things, find me an example of a team trading away a starter with 6 years of control, even if you think he projects as a fifth. Maybe he doesn't continue to be this, and you're just saying he's the next Michael Lorenzen. Well, he's free Michael Lorenzen. He makes $800,000 a year. So, like, I don't know any team at the market size that Kansas City in that would let go of that. So, okay, now we're down to 3. Now we're down to Lorenzen, Bubic, and Lugo. Lugo, I think, or Bubic having the highest value, Lugo being the easiest moved with the medium value, and Lorenzen being the hardest to move with the lowest value. And so it starts to feel like, unless you can find an early trade, and again, this goes back to the same thing we were talking about the Royals trading for a bat. Most teams won't trade with you right now. Look, in my dream scenario, the Royals trade with the Boston Red Sox, a team that has so many outfielders, they can't even call up one of the 5 best prospects in baseball who plays the outfield because they don't have the room for him, and have a middle-of-the-road baseball team ERA and a middle-of-the-road starting pitching ERA, a team that seems like a logical trade partner. And the Red Sox are like, you know what? Let's do it now. We'll give you one of our outfielders. You give us Lorenzen and a really good prospect, or, you know, and we'll make this whole thing work out for everybody. But I don't think that that's going to happen. So I think realistically what's going to happen is they're just going to send him down. And Lorenzen is coming off of 2 bad starts. There's no doubt about that. But before, and he's having a bad month. And so, like,
that's why I think this next start coming up for him is going to be interesting to watch. If he struggles again, then I wonder if you're more willing to consider a move to the bullpen.
He also has a start this month where he went 7 shutout innings and only allowed 3 hits, and 7 innings in which he only allowed 3 hits and 2 runs a start ago. And so it's like, I know he's had 3 bad starts this month, but he's had 2 excellent starts this month. If he has another, and this is the one, he's a 5th starter.
Yeah.
I don't anticipate him. And that's what's been so crazy about Noah Cameron. Like, just to make it about him for a minute. Blown away with what he has given them in the time in which Lugo and Reagan's been down. They've gone 500 so far, 5-5 in the time that they have missed their number 1 and number 2 starters. What more can I ask for?
No, he's been sensational for them. Yeah, he's been sensational. Again, it's a good problem to have with where they're at. I think one thing we have to consider when we're mentioning the options and also potential trade candidates and things like that is we know that a lot of these guys on the staff last year pitched a career high in innings.
Yeah.
We also know that Chris Bubich is still going to be in some sort of a pitch inning limitation. Now they have some days they can buy some off days and things like that as we go through the season. But I as much as it's a good problem to have, there's also the aspect of there's a very good chance in the next month and a half or 2 months. Just this is not hoping it happens, but this is the reality of baseball. Heck, they've already had Reagans and Lugo on the IL. They were so healthy last year. There's a very good chance one of the names we've mentioned is going to end up on the IL again in the next 2 months. I'm sorry, that's just the reality of baseball. So would you rather say, wow, shoot, we shouldn't have traded away that? Man, it's a shame we traded away that guy. Would have been nice to have him as our fifth starter. It's like there's a little bit of that too. Is it the worst thing in the world
to have six
for
guys
Noah Cameron,
and float in between?
For Noah Cameron, unfortunately, to go back down to AAA, but know that you've got this stud ready to roll if and when there's another injury, or it's the time to make a trade. And okay, we feel more comfortable make that trade. I know we all want to see Cameron continue to pitch up here because he's been awesome. But it'd be one thing if pitching was struggling and he was the bright spot in an otherwise bad rotation. That's not what this is at all. He's just continued to do what everybody else has done, and it's really impressive because it was unexpected. Him going to AAA, while him personally, that'd be a big bummer because he's done nothing to deserve that, right?
He's earned his role.
I don't think it's this terrible miscalculation in handling if they send him back down to AAA and wait for his next opportunity, which could be 2 weeks from now, it could be 2 months from now.
I do think that the part of the Lorenzen part of the bullpen, which would intrigue me very much if I were the Royals, and his ERA did balloon yesterday, Noah Cameron's, to 1.05.
Oh boy,
over 1. What's even the point? Maybe that's how he ends up back in AAA. No, I'm kidding, obviously. But the one thing I think we sometimes talk about, hey, we really want Lorenzen to pitch well. On May 29th, I'm not so sure that Lorenzen's value based on his entire major league career has already been settled. Even if you put him in the bullpen, teams still know they can start him. They still know what he offers as a starter. I don't know fundamentally that you really, honestly, I'm not really sure you really change much of his value or the value game on Lorenzen by putting him in the bullpen. People know who he is. What do we think? Teams are so knee-jerk that they're going to watch Lorenzen make 2 more ace-level starts, and then they're going to be like, you know what? I wasn't convinced before, but now I'm in. They got all the scouting reports miles long on this guy, and they understand he can either
that's not how
that's
not how trade stuff works, though. I mean, it's the same reason why on the hitting end, Ryan O'Hearn all of a sudden is being viewed as the hottest rental bat. The dude has never done this in his entire career, but he's going to go and get quite a nice haul for somebody or for the Orioles when they trade him later this year.
Ryan O'Hearn, man.
But what he's doing this year is nothing he's ever done before. I get what you're saying, maybe the individual role. But
I think Lorenzen's a little more, that's fair.
He's established. I get it. My point, I guess, is just that, hey, if you're hot for a year and you got, you're a rental, that what you did 5 years before, and some years this doesn't matter anymore. Somebody needs a bat, somebody needs a starting pitcher.
I guess I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying these 2 starts versus everything else we've seen this year, right?
Gotcha.
Not even so much some of it's his career, but some of it is just he's proven what he can do as a starter this year. He will be a quality back-end starter for you. He will sometimes give you really good starts to give you every chance to win. He will sometimes flounder a little bit, and that's mostly been who he's been. A huge part of his 11 season MLB career. And so, I don't know that his value's changing much if you put him in the bullpen, just because everyone would understand it. The other option is the guy who has a 1.05 ERA who seems to just, no matter what happens, deals every time he comes out.
Yeah, the text from the 816, keep and play the best players, period, pitch Noah Cameron.
Teams just don't do that.
I hear you, but okay, then what's your next move then? Is it just the simple Lorenzen in the bullpen? There has to be another alteration to it.
Yeah.
I don't.
What are you doing?
I doubt they're doing
happen?
it. I mean, a 6-man rotation with off days and stuff.
Who's
I just
the last
don't.
team who did that, by the way?
Does anybody really do that anymore?
No, I've never. I've covered baseball, or we've talked about baseball a long time. I can't think of the most recent example or any example of a team actually doing a 6-man rotation. So
because it's very easy to just say keep Noah Cameron up
10-man rotation. Who cares?
There has to still be a spot.
Well, and here's the problem with the risk of a 6-man rotation is you risk throwing off guys who are used to throwing every 5 days, and Cole Reagans and Lugo and Waka, and does that throw off Mbubic, and does that throw off what they've been doing? Pitchers are regimented. I don't know.
I think that's why it'd be very tempting with how bad the offense has been to be like, you know what, we're going to trade Lorenzen and we're going to piece together somebody else, and we're going to get that outfielder. Period. We're going to do whatever it takes.
Right. You just can't make that trade today, though. Is the issue?
Yeah.
Nobody's trading for anybody at this point in time. It's still too early.
Yeah.
I think we're 3 weeks away before that's a real thing. Maybe you can say 2.5 weeks, 2 weeks away. But the question is, are you getting less because you're trading them early? Would you get more a little bit later? It's an interesting spot they're in. This is why it's a fun conversation, because there's a lot of different options that they have. But Noah Cameron, it's a good thing, has forced the issue maybe a little bit here.
Not funny enough. 2 days ago, there's an article at MLB.com that the general manager of the Mariners is considering a 6-man rotation, as they've got, because the Mariners also can pitch.
Yeah, that same article said, though, that they have not talked about it with their players at all, and they haven't implemented it.
I mean, so yeah. I mean, I'm not saying can't kick it around, and I'm certainly open to the concept of it, but man, you got to get every single starting pitcher on board. You got to be sure every single one of your guys is cool with pitching every 6 days instead of every 5. And here's part of it is just comfort, because I told you, like, if you ever talk to a pitcher, you've had these conversations, very routine oriented. They handle day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 exactly the same way. They ramp up in the same way. They do all these things. They have a routine, and you risk throwing it off. But the other part about this, and it's small, admittedly, and as you're a team trying to win, you don't have to kowtow to it, but like money. Chris Bubic is playing for a contract, Gold. He would like to make the 4 starts you're going to make him miss by going to a 6-man rotation. Maybe don't want to miss. Maybe doesn't want to miss those. Maybe Luka doesn't want to miss those. And it's small, but like it is kind of, I don't know. It's tough. It's a tough spot.
We'll get back into Noah.
Love that he's pitching great, though.
Yeah, we'll get back into Noah Cameron and the good problem that the Royals have potentially coming up with Lugo and Reagans maybe coming off the IL here very soon. It sounds like, based on some reporting last night, that Lugo is maybe potentially in line to pitch this weekend, whereas Reagans could require a rehab stint, wherever that may be, however the schedule works out, before he could come back up and pitch for the big league club. Thinking of the Royals, though, we know the offense still continues to be the headliner and the number one priority and issue with this club at this point in time. Now that we know the calendar will turn to June this weekend, and we recognize the potential additions that may come via minor leagues / the desire to go out and trade for somebody at some point. If I were to fast forward to August, because you and I disagreed a little bit yesterday on this team compared to last year's team at this date, but we both understood that there's a chance fast forward 2 months from now.
We'll see what they look like on last day of August, first day, whatever.
So let's fast forward to the end of August for a second and have an interesting conversation about the lineup. How many bats that are currently in the lineup? Let's just say on most days, I understand the lineup changes some days, but let's just say the majority of what the lineup has been. How many of those 9 players will be in the lineup on the last day of August?
Okay, so let's get the locks out of the way.
Let's take the injuries also. Like, obviously, we're going to assume guys are staying healthy.
Yeah. Let's take the locks. We know India, Witt, Vinny, Salvi, Michael.
Vinny, Isbell, I think.
Ooh,
I think Isbell will be in the lineup for sure.
He's having such a good year.
He's having a career year. He's having a career year. We know the glove plays as well in center field. So I think there's 6 guys that, assuming health, no matter what, are in the lineup at the end of August.
So now we're really just asking.
3.
September 1st, August 31st, we're a month away from postseason baseball. Are Drew Waters, I guess John Rave right now, right, we would say, maybe? Who'd you put as the other? Nick Law? Or Michael Massey. Will any of those 3 guys be in the starting lineup come the end of August? We're a month away.
Not on a regular basis. There'll be a little bit of a platoon or something going on there, because I think Jack Caglianone, obviously the 7th guy that's going to be in this lineup. External trade candidate, name your guy, 8. And then there's one guy or 2 or 3.
The other guys are essentially sharing the job out there as the platoon outfielder. But I guess the part is they're still going to choose one guy more regularly than the other. I actually think, unfortunately,
you think they're moving on from now? Look, most likely there's an injury. That's all. We're not factoring in there. Reality is probably somebody that we're mentioning is going to be hurt at some point.
Do you know what helps Drew Waters more than the rest? One, he's having a better year than John Rave, who's barely been up in the big leagues, and Michael Massey, who is playing a little bit better these last couple of weeks, but has still had a struggling year. Is when Cags comes up, he's a lefty. Don't you want Drew Waters in the switch hitter? Look at the lineup right now, right? India, Bobby, Vinny, you get the lefty. Salvi and Garcia, back-to-back righties. Do you really want to put 2-3 lefties down there? Can you move Cags up? I mean, right, and Isbell's a lefty. They are a lefty-heavy lineup. When they start going to look for bats, Gold, Something tells me they'll be looking for a right-handed power bat. That's probably why they won't be interested in a guy like Ryan O'Hearn.
Thank goodness.
For any other reason, but they'll more likely be looking for a guy who swings from the right side of the plate.
O'Hearn
swings with power.
O'Hearn bats left too.
I gotta
right?
be honest. Who does? Yeah,
not
O'Hearn's a
O'Hearn.
lefty. That's why I said they won't be interested in him. My best guess right now is none of those guys are full-time starters by the time August 31st hits. And that they find 3 replacements either in-house. But, like, are they really going to bring in 3 people? So, like, I have to lean towards 2. Who keeps the job? Whoever plays the best from today until August 31st.
Yeah, I think there's 6 guys that have a spot for the rest of the season, and the rest is open. The rest, assuming health, the 6 names we mentioned. And, yeah, I think Isbell absolutely will be part of this for the long haul this year. He's played well enough. He's been one of their better hitters, and he's got a great glove in center field. So it's the 6.
And you can only replace so many people. Does that,
yeah.
I don't like, and I've been happy with Kyle Isbell's play. I don't know what more you'd be necessarily looking for. I understand he doesn't come with a lot of power, but he does what you would expect a 9-hole hitter who plays well defensively in center to do. He's done what he's been asked to do this year, which is more than I can say for a number of other offensive players. I guess really the thing is you would think they would go with a more natural outfielder to go with it, because like Mikel's got to stay in the lineup now. So Mikel and Indy are staying in the lineup no matter what. That pushes Massey to the outfield if you start getting the numbers crunch. And if you're going to go to the outfield, Waters is the more natural outfielder. So do you trust him or his bat more?
I mean, of those
Massey's
names,
bat more,
those names at the bottom that we just mentioned there, how many are still with the big league club by then too? I mean, there's a reality, and I hope obviously Massey.
I would doubt Rave.
There's a chance that a very good chance that Rave. There's a chance Massey as well. They could not be with the big league club in a month from now, even let alone 2 months from now. There's a real chance that. Based
Waters
off
seems
performance,
to have solidified himself for
yeah,
now.
but Massey and Rave, like those guys could be sent down at some point.
I also just don't think he's untouchable, right? Like I don't think that based on what we just talked about, I don't think that Waters is none of those guys are untouchables. That's for sure. The most established player is Michael Massey. So you would think he'd have a leg up over the rest of the guys just because he's the more established player. But of the 3 guys we just mentioned, he's also probably the one performing the worst over the course of this season. He wasn't in the lineup last night because they had a lefty on the mound. So he
was a late scratch.
No, he was late. That's what it was. He had the ankle.
Ankle or illness?
That was ankle.
Maybe you're right. I don't know.
I think illness was
is
Urseg.
sick. Yeah. There's a couple of late scratches and things like that. Urseg, crisis averted there. He's just sick. Sounds like.
When he didn't come in, I was like, what's going on here? We're going Schreiber, then we're going 4-out save with Estevez.
4 outs. Estevez was awesome, man. 15 saves. Let's go.
We keep talking about trading like Lorenzen. You know what their actual depth is the bullpen. I don't want to toss that out there, but you could trade one of your bullpen arms. Zerpa's been pitching better-ish. He did give up a run.
It depends. Do you think Hunter Harvey's actually coming back in 2025?
Man, I don't know.
There's always something where the recovery is going a little slower than they thought. Unfortunately, he's had some bad injury luck.
At this
the last
point, I'm just going to
months.
assume Hunter Harvey doesn't pitch for the Royals.
It's the final year of his deal. We all know he got hurt last year. This year, he was off to a nice start. Then he's got some shoulder injury or whatever it is, and
he certainly wouldn't pitch high leverage. Right? We would think when he first came back, Hunter Harvey, you wouldn't just throw him back into the 7th inning.
No.
Because Schreiber is actually a player that I was a little reticent on. He's pitched pretty okay this year. I'm not saying he's a perfect pitcher, but I've certainly been happy with the job he's done. It's going to be interesting. For as much as we're they're just going to fix the whole lineup in the trade, it's 6 guys seem safe. 7 pretty much because I don't think they're replacing 2 guys. And then it's Jack Caglianone, I think, seems like the lock. He went, he hit well again last night. We might as well just play.
Mm-hmm.
That went over the scoreboard.
That sounded good.
Another jack for Jack.
That's a good one.
Jack Watch.
He bounced back. After an 0 for 5 night. Right away, he got back after
3
it.
for 4. Now hitting 340. Back to hitting 343 in his 8 games in AAA. An 1151 OPS. For anybody who was doubting the...
You got to love the bounce back,
0 for
though.
5. Immediate bounce back. He had an 0 for 5 3K day, and you're like, oh, you know what? Maybe they figured out a little something. Immediately 3 for 4. Back to hitting 350. If he hits like this for another week, he will force their hand, and they will have no choice but to put Jack Caglianone in the majors. They will not have a choice by mid-June.
They're in the middle of a 2-week homestand in Omaha. So I figure, what are the 2 weeks going to look like while he's in Omaha? He doesn't have to go back on the road. and then at that point in time, see where things are at. I mean, if he really turns it on again the rest of this week, then I think we could be having a conversation on Monday. But otherwise, I think it's like this 2-week homestand in Omaha. While he's there, he's now he's finally seeing a different team, another team that's approaching him a little bit differently. When he struggled the other night, he was going up against a couple pitchers. One of them, I think, is like one of the top prospects for the Twins, in Corey Lewis, who's got a knuckleball, which threw him. You don't see that very often, I'm sure. So that was maybe part of the equation. But that's also what they want. They want him experiencing new tests, new challenges, and see how he adjusts to them.
It seems like now the book is, because I saw Jeff Passan had a new article up at ESPN.com talking about Anthony for the Red Sox and Caglianone, and just like hey, if these guys are so great and our teams are hovering in and around 500, why isn't this guy in the big leagues? And they still cite the one thing that obviously the Royals are still worried about. Passan claimed it's the reason why he slid down to 6 in the Major League Baseball draft, because every other part of his game screamed superstar. Chase rate. Everyone is worried about his chase rate. He's got like a 40% chase rate on 2 strike counts. He just goes too far outside the zone. It has not impacted him because he's so good and so strong, or his bat to ball skills are so good. You don't see him. He doesn't strike out as much as you would think for a guy that chases the amount. But I mean, I don't know, man. He went 3 for 4 again last night. Let him figure it out in the majors at some point, because he's not learning it down there.
At some point, they're going to do that. But for the time being, you would like to see him experience some new challenges in AAA and see if there's some improvement in those areas. But yeah, eventually, look, it's going to be undeniable. Like we all know, it's not even a question anymore. Like 2 months ago, it was like, oh, there's still a chance maybe he wouldn't be in the big leagues this year. Like nobody's questioning that anymore. It's basically a lock at this point. He's going to be called up this year. Now it's just, is it 2 weeks from now or is it still a month from now? Is kind of where everybody I think is adjusted to.
Yeah, there's no more question of if he plays well, he could get to the big leagues.
He's getting called up this year. We all know that now. And defensively is also something probably doesn't get brought up enough. He's
been fine.
And I was listening to him actually talk a little bit yesterday, because he was on a stream for card breaks. As you guys know, Cags is really into cards, and he was asked about his defense, and he was talking a lot about Rusty Kuntz, who is going to work with him for like this 2-week period, basically, while he's in Omaha. Rusty is there specifically to help Jack Caglianone, and we all know his track record and what he did for Moose and for Gordon. I guess Gordon, not Moose, it would be, but for Gordon in particular, and that's going to be something that's kind of like the final. I view that as like the final. All right, let's get him coached up even more by Rusty Kuntz when it comes to outfield play and go from there, because he's not had a ton of experience in the outfield, but at some point again you just kind of have to just go with it, man.
Yeah.
All right, up next though, let's talk about Chris Bubich a little bit more, the options that they have with him and the best model for college football. Maybe there's an idea out there that makes more sense than we believe. That's coming up right here on Cody and Gold.
What's up, Kansas City? This is Vinny Pasquantino, and you're listening to Cody and Gold, weekdays starting at 10 on 96.5 The Fan.
Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Go Yard all baseball season long with Underdog's Champions Game. It's one of the leading places to make all your sports selections, and you can play in your state. That's right, on the Missouri side. Join the millions of fans who have already won billions, making plays on Underdog, and be next to join their app with 100,000 5-star reviews and millions of players. Super easy. Download the app. You can search through all those selections like any other, right? Choose home runs, strikeouts, total bases, mix and match sports. So points, assists, rebounds, all of those available over at Underdog. Once that entry feels good, play with as little as $1, get everything right, and you could win up to 1,000 times your money. Download the Underdog app today. Sign up using that promo code TAPP, T-A-P-P, to unlock a special offer for up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. That's promo code TAPP. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncbgambling.org.
It's the spring sales event at Rob Sight Ford, and I'm here with the man himself, Rob Sight. Rob, you already stole the spotlight. Now what are you trying to take?
Just your attention, Kevin, and maybe a few trade-ins. Now, we've got up to $14,000 off new Fords with employee pricing, plus our own dealer discount.
$14,000. That's hotter than your Sunday barbecue.
Exactly. And unlike your burgers, these deals won't dry out. We've got hard-to-find inventory, huge trade-in values, and our non-commissioned sales team makes everything so easy.
No pressure, just real help. Even I'll admit it, it's the best place in Kansas City to buy a car, and I don't hand out compliments lightly. Or seconds.
That's a fact. And don't forget, we're Kansas City's top-rated Ford dealer on Google. 4.8 stars, nearly 3,000 reviews, and 0 grill marks.
All right, Rob, I'll give it to you, man. You're cooking up some real value over there.
Come see us at 135th and State Line or visit robsight.com. But hurry, these deals are sizzling and inventory's moving fast.
And tell him Rob sent you. No guarantees, but he might throw in a hot dog.
Exercising and being outside are two things I love doing almost every day. I can't imagine joint pain slowing me down. The good news is, if you do have joint pain, I've got the answer for you. QC Kinetics has over 50,000 satisfied patients in less than a decade, and everyone is getting results with no drugs, no surgery, and no downtime at all. QC Kinetics has been on the cutting edge of regenerative medicine. They use natural treatments that harness your body's own healing power. Regenerative medicine used to be an alternative, and now it's mainstream. So if you love being outside and working out as much as I do, or you just love to play golf or tennis or doing everyday activities, and you don't want to live with that joint pain any longer, call my friends over at QC Kinetics. Don't let sore knees or elbows or shoulders or a back keep you from doing the things you love. Call QC Kinetics today, 816-412-6299, 816-412-6299. Off 435 in State Line and in Gladstone. It's QC Kinetics.
Hey, KC, it's almost Andy Reid. Renner Garage Door isn't just opening doors this month. They're opening hearts in support of Mental Health Awareness Month. Renner is donating 5% of all sales to Authentic Life Foundation, supporting vital mental health services to those in need. For supporting this cause, you'll get 5% off your project. Call or visit rennerdoor.com, where quality and compassion open doors to a better community.
RENNER.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot, 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 and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh, yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot, 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 and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh, yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Everyone has a fave Wendy's Frosty flavor. And when you're choosing from chocolate or vanilla, it's not that hard. But now, there's all new Frosty Swirls and Frosty Fusions. So try picking your fave from Oreo Brownie Fusion, Pop-Tarts Strawberry Fusion, Strawberry Swirl, Brownie Batter Swirl, Caramel Swirl, and Caramel Crunch Fusion. Not so easy now, huh? For a fresh way to Frosty, gotta be Wendy's.
At participating U.S. Wendy's, Oreo is a trademark of Mondelez International Group. Pop-Tarts is a trademark of Kellogg North America Co., LLC, used with permission.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free no-risk consultation. 800-251-5642. 800-251-5642. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. 800-251-5642.
Brought to you by MVP. Only $39 for an AC tune-up. Book now at themvpkc.com. MVP Air Conditioning, Heating, Plumbing, and Electric is your home's MVP this spring and summer. Get a summer AC tune-up for just $39 and avoid costly repairs. 913-214-1212 or visit themvpkc.com. MVP. One call does it all.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios.
Coming up in about 8 minutes, we'll get to the latest conversations going on at multiple conference meetings in the last couple days. A shift, perhaps, for how the college football playoff is going to work, and some agreements, some disagreements, obviously, with what that model could look like. There's a couple suggestions that are far more intriguing than others, at least for me, and we'll get into those and what it can mean for the 3 local colleges as well. But let's keep talking some Royals baseball to get us started here on a Thursday. And we were mentioning the rotation, the options they have because of how well Noah Cameron has been pitching. Chris Bubic is interesting because he is a top 3 pitcher in baseball right now, but he only has, a year and a half left of control for the Royals. And so what do you do? Would you consider...
You don't trade him this year. Let's just eliminate that.
Yeah,
one. I think that
it's an off-season conversation.
Reckless.
That's an off-season potential move. You got to make a decision this off-season. Are you extending him, or are you trading him? And I guess they could go into the first half of next year and trade him at the deadline next year. That would also
imagine
be
if
a
you,
possibility.
again, look like you're barreling towards being a playoff team like you have last year and have a good chance to do again this year, and then you trade away a guy still pitching great. That's a Pirates move, man. You don't want to look like these franchises that when they're winning don't make those moves. You do those in the off season at the very least so that it's a little less noticeable.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to do it this year. So to me, it's an off season or at the All-Star trade deadline next year if you're not going to extend him. And that's the question is, do you go ahead and extend him knowing his history? Obviously, he's pitching great, but there's still his injury history there. He's 27. He'll be 28 when he potentially hits free agency, or 29, I guess, actually, when he hits free agency. I think it depends on how you want to go about approaching other guys that might be due for an extension. Now, they don't have a ton of money on the books in 2026. They've got a lot of flexibility, you would think, there. But if I asked you and gave you the option, maybe you say, hey, both. Sure. But let's say Chris Bubic or Maikel Garcia. Who would you extend first?
Bubic.
See, I think Maikel Garcia, considering the offensive issues right now, considering what he's been able to do, I think, and where he can play multiple positions, I would actually look at
expensive player.
Maikel Garcia would be a little more intriguing right now to extend in the offseason than Chris Bubic.
So they both have
because of the pitching development.
You've put investment in them. You've worked through these options, like you mentioned, like Noah Cameron or Avila or some of these other guys you've put money into, or just the time into. And if you think you're the kind of team who can develop pitching now, an off-season trade would make the most sense. Because I would assume if Chris Bubic continues anywhere close to his current base, you could probably get an off-season haul for him for the team that is willing to pay him. And there will be plenty of teams, because starting pitching is hard to find, plenty of teams willing to pay him. And so I would guess you'd do okay. But here's why I would probably take the risk. Some of it is because I think Lugo's gone and Lorenzen's gone. And so I'm down to Cole Reagans, who I still have quite a bit of control on. A few years worth of control on. I'm feeling pretty good about that. And Waka, who I've only got 2 years of control on after this year, and he's getting older, maybe 3, and he's getting a little bit older. Do I want to get into this? I know that, I don't like paying players just because they had one good year. Chris Bubic's career is far different for the rest of this. He was a starter the first 3 years. He was like a 4.5 earned run guy. Then he was hurt out of the bullpen. And so it's been a little bit of time before we see him. But I think he found it. A lot of this just comes down to a simple belief that is, I think Chris Bubic found it. And for a starting pitcher, if you get anywhere close, not even this level, if he becomes a 3-starter, I think he's not going to be terribly expensive for a 3-starter. Because his history is still short enough. I don't think his contract's ballooned yet. He might just take the guaranteed dollars, Gold, because they're on the table.
Yeah, I don't know where his mindset is at. And
I think it's possible. That's
and
what
all
I'm saying,
that.
yeah.
I do think it depends on what do you think his ceiling is. I think they're being realistic. Despite Chris Bubic this year pitching like an ace, I don't think that's what he is, the rest of his career now. So, yeah, is he – there's nothing wrong with this, by the way, but is he just a 3-starter? Like, put him in any rotation of baseball.
You got to think his ceiling's higher than that right now, even if it's a smaller percentage.
But guys that are number 3 starters for the majority of their career, they still have outlier years where they pitch like an ace. Like, that happens. I mean, heck, we just saw it last year. Now, I understand he was in the bullpen for a good chunk of his career, but Seth Lugo is probably actually, if we're being real, a number 3 starter. But he pitched like an ace last year. He was an all-star last year. He was finished top 4 in Cy Young.
Was he second in Cy Young? He was pretty high.
I think that's where, like, you can have a year where you pitch like a number 1. It doesn't necessarily mean you're a number 1 your career now. I think Chris Bubic is a number 3 starter. So nothing wrong with that, by the way. But that's what this year you're getting more than that. But financially, I'm willing to commit.
What's the going rate for a 3-starter right now?
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Because you are taking the injury risk and everything else in between. So is it $25 million a year, $20 million a year?
I think they should extend both. Obviously, that's the simple answer. I just, if I gave you a choice between the two, like, I would be comfortable giving Garcia an extension at the end of the season. I think he gives you flexibility. I understand that he's having a better first half of this season than he had last year, and you're saying I need to see more. I get it. I just think these are the type of players that you can extend, and they're not going to be huge contracts to take care of.
Let's say it's Seth Lugo's deal, but it's for an additional year. You'd mentioned Seth Lugo. He's a 3-starter, pitched like a 1. Let's say it's 4 for 60 for Bubic. Yen?
I would be.
Like, it depends on the number, it sounds like, for you, more than it's just about yes extension or no extension. It's more about where is his number now realistically in baseball. He's 27 years old. He'll be 28 at the end of the season. That's why I would take probably calls on him at the winter break. I'm not saying I'd do it, and I would definitely not do it till December, but, like, I'd pick up the phone and see what people are offering. But I'd also ask his agent, especially in the small market, I'd also ask his agent what it was. What was Michael Wacha's deal? Was it less than Lugo's? And look, again, Lugo wasn't even a starter. So I got to assume it's more like 4 for 80.
Wacha is also 33.
For Bubic, maybe 5 for 100.
Yeah, Wacha is also 33 years old, so we got to consider that a little bit here.
What if it was 5 for 100
years,
for Bubic?
3 years, $51 million.
Okay, so more
28 is a team option.
Okay, so like we got to think that it's above that. I got to think $20 million a year for Bubic, even with his limited sample size, right? So if it's 3 for 60, are you in? 4 for 80? What? I know it starts to get into like crunch time where you're like, oh man.
I think some of this also is where you have to make a decision internally. If you're going to talk about trading in the offseason, how confident are you in your pitching development that you got other guys that are going to be coming up in the next year or two? Also, how are you treating realistic? I know fans always playoffs. How are they truly treating 2026? You know, do they view that as a reset-ish year? Or, to me, when you have Bobby Wood Jr. under contract for only X amount of years.
Never.
Exactly. I'm totally with you.
Every year he's on my team. I'm going for
100%. I think to me, that's absolutely something you have to do. So we'll see. I think you and I are on the same page in terms of, like, if you're going to trade a pitcher this year to get a bat, to me, it's not Chris Bubic. You need him in this rotation this year.
No, Lugo, Reagan's, Bubic. I would even take Lugo off my list. The only guys I would entertain trading if I were the Royals, Lorenzen's the key choice, and you're not only going to get so much back for that, understandably.
Right.
And I would consider Lugo, even more than Noah Cameron. Too much cost control. If I'm a small market team and we're talking about, someone said, open up the checkbook, pay both. Pay Mike Helling, pay Bubic. Well, that's fine, but then I need guys like Noah Cameron making nothing.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to just become the Padres under their previous owner, and all of a sudden they got a $300 million payroll.
Yeah.
I don't think.
$80 million at Bubic. Whew, let somebody else probably do that.
You're willing to let somebody else take that risk? You get prospects back and hope?
That's a little scary.
Meanwhile, over in the SEC, we spent a lot of time talking about Sankey, but now the rest of college football is also involved in this. How do we handle 16-team in a college football playoff model, and which one seems to be the most fair? The one that's gaining the most steam at the moment is the 5+11 model. Brett Yormark, the commissioner of the Big 12, has said he'd be okay with that model, even though, as Drew pointed out, he pretty much openly admitted it could mean less teams for the Big 12 given the year, although I have a hard time imagining the Big 12 most years will not have 2 of the top 16 teams in the country. So, like, part of me is like,
they would only have had 1 last year.
For real?
Yes.
Ugh. Yeah, because Iowa State was ranked
Iowa State was 17 and Arizona State was like 14.
Yeah.
I mean, it was. But again, that's because the league's so competitive.
It's also just pretending like they won't rig it and make them 16 in the year when it's because this is the way the NCAA tournament works.
But there would be at least one that gets in, of course, because the AQs. The 5 AQs would be the 4 power conferences and then the best group of 5 school.
And you still get the group of 5.
That still is included, but it does make it likely that less Big 12 teams would get in just because
It was a down year for the Big 12. But yeah, sure, that's fair.
It's because the conference is so competitive, though. I think that's the reason why it hurts the Big 12 is if K-State won 10 games and made it to the conference title game and lost, but they still had 10 wins and they were 10-3, they'd still probably be in.
It's the most fair model, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think the 5 plus the 1 there.
It makes sense.
Yeah, or 5 plus 11. I'm sorry, makes the most sense for them. I also think what you were saying about it's competitive. This goes back to just where we're at with the branding of each conference, the perception of each conference. If the SEC or if the Big 12 is competitive like they were, we say, man, they were really competitive. If the SEC has the same thing, what a dominant conference they have been all season long. In the Big 12, we just say it's a competitive conference when they have the year that they just had. If it was the SEC, we would say, oh my gosh, there's so many amazing teams in this conference.
Penn State, Texas, Georgia, Tennessee, all those teams had. Alabama had 2 or 3 losses, and then we're like, Big 12's competitive. Arizona State, only 2 losses. BYU, only 2 losses. Iowa State, 3 losses, just like Alabama. But we talk about them differently, way differently, as you pointed out, Gold, as conferences. Is this not the best model? Drew, of all the other ones you've heard, is there another one that you're like, oh, I don't know, maybe. I hate the 4-4-2-2. That's the worst. That's my personal nightmare. I think you either do the 5 plus 1 or the 5 plus 11, or you just do the top 16 teams.
Well, this is where I
forget
think,
the automatic qualifier, and if you're one of the 16 best teams, welcome.
I think Brett Yormark deserves a lot of credit for this because he could easily have taken the Greg Sankey route of all people, being the most powerful man, complaining. And Brett Yormark could have complained and said, the Big 12 isn't getting enough spots and yada, yada, yada. But he said even though it's worth it to what you said earlier, Cody, it's worth it because it rewards on-field performance and the conference championship games still matter. That's where the expansion part is really... That's what makes me question things. But if you can keep conference championship weekend important, regardless of how it is, and the regular season games, all of them matter, that's the format that I want the most. And I think the 5 plus 11 format or the best 16.
Because in the conference don't matter. You win the conference, you get your spot.
It fits that billing more. And the thing
they
about
already want to dice that. They don't want to make you like an automatic home game or automatic bye. So like you get to be in the tournament. But if you're in the conference championship of the SEC, you're getting in the you're playing in the college football playoff anyway. I mean, you're not you're not getting the benefit you used to get. The AQ doesn't really matter in that spot, Drew. That's all.
Yeah, the AQ doesn't matter for the SEC and the Big Ten as much as it does them getting the extra at-large bids, where them being a quote-unquote better conference will reward them. The thing about the Big 12 that sucks is the reason I say competitive and not dominant is because I think last year there was so much. Arizona State was picked dead last in the Big 12, and they ended up winning the conference. And BYU was also picked low and won the conference. There's not a big dog in the Big 12 anymore. No offense to K-State or KU. Texas and Oklahoma were the big dogs of that conference. They were the face of the Big 12. They don't have a face right now, and that's why people...
It's the national brand stuff.
That's exactly why people don't have that perception, where if you went off of the league that actually was the best in terms of competitive balance, the SEC was first and the Big 12 was second. The Big 10 was third. The Big 12 was a better balanced league from top to bottom last year, which you could say made it maybe we know that Ohio State won the whole thing, but in terms of teams that would be in versus teams that would be out, are we sure that Arizona State wouldn't have beaten Indiana? Would BYU have beaten Indiana? And that's where you, of course, start the comparison between, power conferences, where I think it'll be interesting to see how things pan out in regards to scheduling, because that is also a big thing that's come from these spring meetings, guys, is the scheduling aspect of should the SEC
those are
go
years
to 9
away,
games?
Though. That's years away, I think.
Or what are we doing in terms of non-conference schedule? Like there's a lot of figuring out to do, if you will, regarding the scheduling for particularly the SEC and the Big Ten schools, because the Big 12 is going to do what they're going to do, and the ACC will do the same.
Truth is, they can't get taken seriously until they win championships, the Big 12.
Agreed.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. But the scheduling alliance stuff, I think, is years down the road. But the idea of getting everybody to play the same amount of conference games would allow you to have a real schedule balance to a certain extent. I know the SEC and Big Ten want to partner up, but
everybody's doing 9 except for the SEC.
If everybody was at 9, you would be able to have it wouldn't be NFL scheduling per se, but you could at least have something that resembles a little bit more of a balanced matrix across multiple years that makes sense.
How hasn't college football added more games, just out of curiosity?
Don't give any ideas. Season already starts August 30th and goes till January 5th.
They shouldn't add
Season already is pretty darn long.
But they always have weirdo double buys and nonsense in the middle of their schedule. And don't hide behind the college athlete nonsense. That's been so far out the window for so damn long. Don't lie to me. I'm not an idiot.
I think it's just the way that things have been, and you don't need...
Teams always have games,
I don't
dude.
think you need more...
You'd make a lot of money. I'm surprised that hasn't come up, more games. Because that's how you solve the 9 games, Gold. You get your 9 games, and here's the extra non-con game, because now, instead of playing X number of games, we play one more.
Yeah, but then you get into the non-con. Okay, are the non-cons going to be against another, Power 5 school? You willing to do that, or are they going to be against, Drew's Missouri State squad?
There should be a rule, because the whole like Brian Kelly said, the SEC should play one Big Ten school. That idea, I can listen to it, but it also is stupid in the same concept, where you could actually really kill your season if you play a good Big Ten school and you lose and you're 8-4. You're not making the playoff. You're not in the top 16. I don't care if you played a good Big Ten school or not, but there should be a requirement that you don't play any and by cupcake, I mean FCS school. Like, if you want to play Akron, fine. But LSU should not be playing Southeast Louisiana, who are in the FCS. Shouldn't happen.
I guess that is part of, like, the games. It's like there's so many throwaway games in college that mean absolutely nothing.
Like South Carolina's playing the Citadel, which is a military school.
They're always
this year.
complaining about the schedule. I'm like, I don't know how we're going to fit in all these games. I'm like, I don't know. Stop playing, like, schools I've never heard of. Like, that might solve part of your issue. It is what it is.
But hey, the SEC is the best conference, so we can afford to have a game against the Citadel, and it's okay because the SEC is better than everybody else. I think it's just a really wacky complaint to have when you're in charge of everything. To actually play the victim is pretty sad.
Coming up in 10 minutes, we will get to the latest on the stadium front. A statement put out by the Royals yesterday. What does it all mean? What is actually happening there? And I do think some of you do owe somebody an apology, as a matter of fact, a little bit for how that was all reported a couple months ago. You know exactly what I'm talking about. We'll get to that in about 10 minutes or so. But you are saying there's an all-time bad take that was floating around the NBA in the last 24, 48 hours.
Or we can just start applying it to everything in life. I'll tell you that here in just a second. Kendrick Perkins was talking about the NBA. He was talking about what did I forget his name all of a sudden? Anthony Edwards. Yep. He was talking about him leading into this game before he was eliminated last night, because the Thunder are an unstoppable force at the moment. And he was talking about why he can't be the face of the league, and had an interesting opinion about why.
You got to check the boxes when you're the face of the league. Yes, we know you got to have your signature shoe. You're going to be in commercials. You're going to have the highlights. You got to have the game. But you know what else you got to have? You got to be a role model, right? And things outside the lines matter. Now, if you go down the list of all the faces of the league in the history of the game, you look at Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Shaq, LeBron, Steph, what did they all have in common? While they was playing in the league, they all were family men. They all were married with kids. And if you think that don't play a role as far as the role model, this is facts. This is not something that I'm making. Hold on. But this is not something that I'm making up. Now, what happened to them after they retired? That's their business. But while they are playing or was playing, they were family men.
Got to be a family man to be the face of the NBA.
Are we sure that this is Michael Jordan was gambling on the side?
Family man. He had kids and a wife.
Look, if you want to just say that you got to be, not in trouble all the time and viewed as somewhat as a decent person and be the face of the league, I understand that part. The idea that you have to be married with kids to be the face of the NBA is where I'm like, what? You lost me at that point.
I got to say, I think you have to be married with kids to be the face of this show.
Yeah. I bet you do.
Otherwise,
yeah.
I don't think it works unless you're married to that kid. Think about the kids that might listen to this show, You got to be married with kids. God, who does that eliminate? Tough. Drew, you are married, but no kids.
Correct.
Oh, my God, I'm married with kids? This works out great.
It's perfect for you. It's perfect. Again, the beginning portion of what he said, I don't disagree with. But he lost me at the end. He completely lost me at the end with that requirement, he says. The role model stuff, we can debate that all day long. But in general, if he was constantly getting in trouble off the court and all this kind of stuff, it's tougher to be the face of the league, marketable and all that.
I don't think it'd be John Moran to be the face of the league right now, based on the constant nonsense you get your name involved in.
It's not. But it's not because you're not married with kids. And Anthony Edwards reportedly, there's been all these stories about his off the field,
there's a lot.
There was a rumor that he just tried to pay for all of his child support up front. Did that really happen?
So I think that is true, but also
I don't know if that was a rumor or not.
I think also he had to have a restraining order put out on this woman because she was bothering other Timberwolves players during the postseason.
That ain't great.
But no, I think so if you're Kendrick, then based on
I was
that,
talking about Kobe's dating history is not great.
Based on Perk's model in terms of what the face of the league should be, then SGA is the perfect example. He's married, he has a kid, he just won MVP. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the face of the league then for Kendrick Perkins. Like that is all the criteria.
The idea that you have to be a married family man to be the face of the league is so absurd. Like, it's just an unnecessary qualification.
I think he's incorrect. Yeah, I mean, plain and simple. And the other guys on the set with him were like very confused.
They
by
were all
it,
just
too.
like, dude, he's like, let me finish. You're like, I'll let you finish, but I mean, this is not going to go well for you once we all get a chance to talk.
All right, up next, let's talk about the stadium front. The Royals put out a statement yesterday. What does it mean? I think timing is everything with this. We'll explain that next.
This is Cody and Gold, brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com. Tune in to hear Royals insider Josh Vernier every Wednesday at 12:30.
We need to nip this in the bud. We need to nip
what in the bud? On your home for Royals baseball, 96.5, The Fan.
I can't wait to sit outside all summer on any number one of my decks, and that's why I think I am qualified to tell you about a great local decking company. That's All Weather Decks, or at allweatherdecks.net. You can schedule a free estimate today by calling 913-206-1974. Go to their website. See the quality of their work. They can help you with a screened-in porch, different deck dreams. Let them build your dream deck with the right deck at the right price. Check them out, allweatherdecks.net or 913-206-1974.
The other place with 5 great Kansas City locations: Shawnee, Olathe, the downtown Overland Park, Mission, and Belton. With 5 locations, that means you're never too far away from that one-of-a-kind game day experience, plus enough big screens that you'll never miss a second of the action. And if you want some great food, some great beer specials, and beautiful patios, then stop by the other place. The perfect place to make your baseball headquarters this spring. The other place: Shawnee, Olathe, the downtown Overland Park, Mission, and Belton. Your home for baseball this spring.
In the moments that matter most, you show up. You protect, you serve, you heal, you care. Now, let Reiselman Nissan show up for you with our Hero Appreciation Program. Kansas City's heroes get special discounts every single day. Choose from over 160 new Nissans with Kicks, Sentras, and Altimas starting as low as $399 a month, because honoring you is our privilege. Visit ReiselmanNissan.com. Every customer, every time. Reiselman Nissan.
Not all vehicles may apply. See dealer or check ReiselmanNissan.com for all details.
Bank of America is a nation's leading business lender, and we're ready to help with your next goal here in Kansas City. That's why we have over 3,700 local business specialists across the country. Because with the right team, your business and community prosper. What would you like the power to do? Learn more at bankofamerica.com/local business. Bank of America, official bank of FIFA Club World Cup 2025. Bank of America Corporation, all rights reserved.
Hey there, Kansas Lottery here. And we want to get together for a game or two. Meet us at your favorite retailer or wherever you like to buy your tickets, and we can let the games begin. There's a lot of fun and cash on the line. See kslottery.com for details.
The semifinals are here. That means all the show-stopping action is turning up a notch. Don't miss your chance to bet on all the legendary moments with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. FanDuel's the best place to find all your favorite player props, and now you can make the smarter play with new performance trends. Want to see if a guy's hitting that over consistently, or maybe they've been flirting with a potential triple-double? Get the latest stats right inside the app and see who's heating up. And once the game starts, that's when things get interesting. You can combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. If you don't already have FanDuel, it's not too late to get in on the action. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. So visit FanDuel.com/Alex to join today. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA and 96.5 The Fan. 21 and President, Kansas. First on real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bet, which expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit kansasgamblinghelp.com.
Exercising and being outside are two things I love doing almost every day. I can't imagine joint pain slowing me down. The good news is, if you do have joint pain, I've got the answer for you. QC Kinetics has over 50,000 satisfied patients in less than a decade, and everyone is getting results with no drugs, no surgery, and no downtime at all. QC Kinetics has been on the cutting edge of regenerative medicine. They use natural treatments that harness your body's own healing power. Regenerative medicine used to be an alternative, and now it's mainstream. So if you love being outside and working out as much as I do, or you just love to play golf or tennis or doing everyday activities and you don't want to live with that joint pain any longer, call my friends over at QC Kinetics. Don't let sore knees or elbows or shoulders or a back keep you from doing the things you love. Call QC Kinetics today, 816-412-6299, 816-412-6299. Off 435 in State Line and in Gladstone. It's QC Kinetics.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Everyone has a fave Wendy's Frosty flavor. And when you're choosing from chocolate or vanilla, it's not that hard. But now there's all new Frosty Swirls and Frosty Fusions. So try picking your fave from Oreo Brownie Fusion, Pop-Tarts Strawberry Fusion, Strawberry Swirl, Brownie Batter Swirl, Caramel Swirl, and Caramel Crunch Fusion. Not so easy now, huh? For a fresh way to Frosty, gotta be Wendy's.
At participating U.S. Wendy's, Oreo is a trademark of Mondelez International Group. Pop-Tarts is a trademark of Kellogg North America Co., LLC, used with permission.
I really need funding to expand my inventory.
Swish Funding can help you expand inventory, upgrade equipment, and boost your cash flow.
Well, okay, but I need funding fast.
Swish Funding provides funding from $25,000 to $2 million with payment terms tailored to your needs and cash in your account in less than 24 hours.
So what's the catch?
No catch. If you've been in business for at least 1 year with monthly revenue of $50,000, you could qualify. Just go to swishfunding.com to apply. That's swishfunding.com.
What? All the budget has to be used now? And we can use all the media buy?
Javier's marketing firm just got its dream funding.
Okay, ideas. Bobbleheads. No. T-shirt cannon. I seriously need some help here.
He needs to find marketing managers who are worth every dollar.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Sponsoring a job on Indeed gives it a visibility boost so you can hire faster. Redeem your $75 credit at Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
The Out of Options Podcast, with new episodes released every Tuesday on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts. 96.5 The Fan, KFNZ FM and AM, HD1 and HD2 Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station.
11 o'clock hour here on Cody and Gold. Alex Gold, Cody Tapp, Drew Nixon with you. We'll get to the trash of the day here in about 17 minutes or so. Chiefs Red Half Hour is a half hour away. I want to talk a bit about something Dusty had to say yesterday on his show about a Chiefs player's performance, and if you guys agree with what that performance could ultimately look like in 2025. But we did get some stadium news. I'll use air quotes because, we're still kind of in the same spot here. But
Still stuck in limbo, I'm afraid.
Very interesting. I think the timing is everything here. We're all smart enough to figure out, I think, a little bit on the timing of what's going on. If you missed it, the Royals put out a statement yesterday. I'm not going to read you the full statement. I'm going to sum it up for you. The Royals said an affiliate of the club acquired the mortgage on that Aspiria campus in Overland Park, right? 119th, 115th, and Knoll. That's the site that, of course, has been talked about before. And also mentioned that they have negotiated with or made investments in multiple potential sites, both in Missouri and in Kansas. But again, the one investment that was singled out was this site on 119th.
They were vague about the other potential investments.
Right. Remember, we all know next week what's happening in Missouri, the special session to discuss a stadium funding bill. We also know at the end of June, the Star bonds expire. This, to me, just screams of leverage city, and that's what this is. It is trying to show those on the Missouri side of the state line, specifically I'm talking about representatives that will have an opportunity to vote on this thing maybe during the special session, that, hey, we're serious. Like you thought we're serious. We've had someone that essentially somebody that's part of our ownership group has gone out and with another business has purchased this mortgage on this complex out in Overland Park. And that's how serious we are. And we still are hoping we can get something done, but like that's how I take it. I don't know how you took it. It is to me a leverage move to once again show we're serious, that if something doesn't happen here with financing mechanisms in Missouri, we're very serious. That to me is what this is, and the timing is not a coincidence. Come on, it happens 5 days before the special session starts.
No, I'm not like, it's one of those like, you start sounding like a little man. I wasn't born yesterday.
Yeah.
That's how it feels a little bit when it comes to that. I do not think that they are like, no doubt, without question, doing the 119th and null location. I obviously think it's a serious consideration and the favorite if they are to end up in Kansas. But I think that this is fairly obviously a point of position to say, we have these choices and we have made these investments. And why release the statement timing-wise unless you're trying to turn the screws up a little bit on Missouri? One thing I think I have learned in this process, because I think the silence from the Chiefs speaks volumes in this. I still do not understand why we essentially just give them a pass on sitting on the sidelines. Do you know how many articles I've read, Gold, that say, John Sherman's cheap. He won't buy the own team. I'm like, are we just ignoring that Clark was a part of this too? That he is also wanting a new stadium? And that there are two parties asking for new buildings? Genuinely what this is the way the Royals have handled this, the time that it's taken, the way the Chiefs have handled this, and the time that it's taken. I am personally convinced, not that they're telling me this, I am personally convinced that both's preference would be Missouri. And that downtown Royals baseball is still the preference of John Sherman if he was given any choice and everything was created equal, etc. And that Clark Hunt's choice would still be to renovate, maybe not the plan they had before, but a renovated Arrowhead at the site that they are currently at. And that if everybody got their dream scenario, their Christmas wish, the bike under the tree, Gold, it would be both of those things. Or I think they'd have just taken Kansas's money by now, if you want to know the truth. And I don't think they would have played this out, slow played it all, released statements around the time Missouri's going to go back. I think that that's the preference. And they're just still trying to make it very clear, hey, we will go to Kansas. I guess at this point, though, it's like, I just, like, Missouri hasn't budged much. And so, like, at some point, like, if you're the Royals or the Chiefs, why are you optimistic?
Yeah, just multiple things have happened this week. You had the mayor on I don't know if it was his Facebook Live or something. He does like a weekly or every couple weeks does a thing. And essentially he was saying that, like, they're not going to be beggars for the team. They want to fight for the teams, but they're not going to be beggars. And then we see this statement come out yesterday confirming that they've at least had an affiliate of the club purchase the debt and mortgage on this campus.
But also the campuses are reportedly not in great shape, so who knows?
And then we all know the special session is happening next week. To me, it's leverage more than anything else.
Yeah, I think it's making it clear that, again, we understand what our options are and we will explore their options. Can I say briefly that if the 119th and null site is seriously in consideration again, which probably always was in some sort of consideration, but appears to be, I think, probably the front runner. I don't think they're like dead set on going there or anything like that, but probably the front runner for the Kansas side, not in general. I still hate that site.
Yeah, you and I have not been.
I think all the things can be cool, and the renders. I'm not even saying I wouldn't go or anything like that. It's not that. I just don't want it there. And maybe that's because I want it downtown or near downtown or any of those other things. I just don't want it there. That's all. And we don't have to get bogged down in that again. You and I both said we don't really love the egress or anything else that's going out of there. That's
the thing. The site itself, I still don't think makes a ton of sense, but we'll see ultimately what happens. But that was the little bit of an update that occurred yesterday with the Royals putting out a statement. And I think it was prompted also. There was a few articles out there from, I think Fox 4 initially had the reporting with some comments from those around that area as well, including the J and just kind of their ongoing conversations or non-conversations, I guess, that have not taken place.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It doesn't feel like this really moved other than, again, I feel like everything that continues to happen is telling us that this thing is getting ready to come to a head, Gold. Like we are nearing the finish line of at least announcements of a plan. Does it mean that those plans will go through with 100%? No. I think we probably learned that lesson from the last time when they finally announced a bill to try to get voted on that eventually was lost by 16 points or whatever to keep both teams in Jackson County at that time. But as time's gone on, I thought after that thing failed, I thought one team would just move their best plan, their favorite plan, to the Kansas side of things. And I don't think that's the case. I still think, even though he won't say it publicly, and I think the Chiefs have been skirting a lot of the criticism because they have been silent essentially this entire process, I still think Clark Hunt doesn't want to tear down his family's legacy, and he very, 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 very much wants to stay at a renovated Arrowhead. He wants it to be Noble or Grace's problem, somebody else's, somebody else's decision, not his, to change what Arrowhead is. I think it means that much to him, and that's okay. But I think that's what inevitably it still comes down to is that they want to be in Missouri, but they probably both can't be. You and I still don't think both teams are going to end up in Missouri. I don't. I think one maybe
split it probably.
I don't know. It makes the most sense. Like that to me, I don't know. It makes the most sense. But at the same time, who knows, right? The needle. The markers keep changing. I'm fascinated to see what Missouri gets done, I guess, next week. But I told you, unfortunately, Gold, at this point, you and I, because of sports wagering, or you because of your, you love pot and everything else, we can't help. I'm just joking, obviously. But whatever we've been following in the Missouri legislature, it's been clear they're a bit disorganized. We agree?
Obviously.
And it's unlikely they're going to get it done. Drew, maybe it'll be out your way, Your rent might go up at the Legends, though. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, they can.
That's 5 years from now.
How quickly is that going to spike? Until they build it, or after it's approved? Oh yeah. By the way,
have you ever met an apartment complex? I mean, immediately, Drew. At your lease renewal.
I know.
Cool, am I wrong here? I haven't rented in a long time, but it feels like the number goes up anyway,
Which is why my renewal is coming up, and I need to renew now before it gets announced where it's going to be. Probably.
Well, you're not going to sign a 5-year lease. You know what I mean?
Well, I know that.
I don't think it's going up next.
Well, that's what I was asking. Is if it's announced that Legends is getting a stadium, is the rent just immediately? Hey, by the way.
The next time your lease is up, it might start. I don't know.
I just got to make sure that I get the renewal done then before they announce that they're going out to Legends.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There is a lot of space out there. A lot of space.
Someone says they would do it instantly. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you have to let him finish out his current lease, though.
Which is why it's coming up here in like a month. So I need to renew it now. Before...
Oh, dude, you're gonna have to move again, or you like this place enough?
I do. I like this place enough, and we're not dealing with mold problems. So I thankfully, because I really don't want to move again.
Gold, what's your plan? You gonna move? You gonna finally find new digs?
Yeah, you've been at your place for a while.
Has nothing to do with the stadium stuff, though.
No, he was talking about moving. I just didn't know what your
I don't know. I mean, I still am on a lease right now. I don't know. I've looked at a couple places. I told you there's a couple places that are new nearby our station as well that I've looked at. But I mean, I'll stay on the Kansas side. I'm not going to move on to the Missouri side if that's what you're asking.
You sound like those people.
No, I know you're saying I wasn't saying that
over there.
Yeah. No, Gold will probably never. This is what's funny about it. It's like I don't think that there's clearly people have a strong preference for I would have lived on either side of the state line when I became an adult. I looked at houses on both sides of the state line, but I do think that most of the time there's a strong preference for I like living in Kansas, partially for Alex because it's near his friends or his family group or the things that he does.
Also, it's near work.
And it's near work, whatever, right? The variety of reasons people choose to live on the side of the state line that they do. It's the choice of where you go to a game state line thing that I don't understand.
Sure.
Choosing which side of the state line you want to live on, that makes sense. I think most people have a preference.
Yeah.
Have chosen a preference based on, again,
convenience,
work,
places,
family, friends, whatever the reasons may be, where you grew up, any of the reasons, right? But the viewing of a game, you don't live there. What's the matter? What's the matter with
I'm living here only because the team is here. That'd be a lot of dedication.
Yeah. I don't know, man. That part of it just throws me off a little bit. That's all. Anyway, that's the update on the stadiums. I guess we'll see what happens next.
There was an update, though, at some meetings that are going. We mentioned college football earlier. How about what's happening with college basketball? I'm not a huge fan of expanding the NCAA tournament, but Bill Self was quoted yesterday at the Big 12 meetings that Big 12 coaches are in favor of expanding the NCAA tournament. There was also some quotes from the NCAA themselves in the last day or so suggesting that it could happen as soon as this year's NCAA tournament. And that is at least four-team expansion from the tournament. I know they have expanded it multiple times over its history. I also recognize that there's probably no stopping this. That is going to expand. I've been pretty consistent on this. I don't like it whatsoever. I think much like for college football, the expansion is not going to allow more mid-majors in. It's going to allow the 10th and 11th best team in these conferences to get in now.
Which the Big 12 loves because they're a deep basketball conference.
By the way, that's why coaches are for it. I can say on my resume that I'm an NCAA tournament. You're not firing me after an NCAA tournament berth.
I think it's also why, like, Kalen DeBoer for Alabama was like, let's do... I want 4 things because you want to keep your job at Alabama. Also, just getting into college football playoff will not keep your job at Alabama. Not at Alabama. It'll keep your job somewhere but there. But, yeah, that's why they want the extra college teams.
I'm curious, Gold, would you be more in favor of it if what it turned into was you get, for the first 4, you get rid of the 16 seeds. They are actually in the tournament. They don't do play-ins. They're in. Everybody's in. And instead, you have a first 4, but it's not 4 teams. It's 4 games. You add 2 more games, 2 11 seeds, and then 2 10s. You would end up with, in all likelihood, more power schools playing in these play-in, but they're play-in games. They're not. They're to get into the field of 68. Essentially, the field is still 68 with your bracket, but the first 4 is, instead of it just being 2 games each day, it's 2 games each day. 2 matchups being 16 seeds. It's 2 10 matchups and then 2 matchups for 2 11 seeds.
Well, at some point, though, like,
it's still, you add the 4 teams, but you allow it to still be a play-in, essentially, for the actual 68-team bracket.
My issue isn't how it's going to be presented with play-in tournament, first 4, whatever we want to call it. It's just the idea that they're going to act like they're expanding the field, but who are they expanding the field for? They're expanding it for
it'd be another Mountain West school,
maybe,
and then you include North Carolina or NC State or Virginia, whatever the case is. And
guess what? We'll still have a selection Sunday, and there will still be 4 other coaches and ADs at that point that will complain that they weren't one of the additional 4 that we already expanded it to. We're just going to now be arguing about even less of a resume and less of a team getting in or not getting in. Like,
it's never going to.
There's always one team, 4 teams are always going to be left out and think that they got screwed over, even though we just expanded the field. So I'm very anti this. I've been that way for a couple of years. I recognize it's going to happen because coaches want it, and there's more money involved for these conferences because they get more teams in the field and all that.
I was about to say, accept your fate on that one. Some of these things are things I think we discuss because I do think that there's problems with it or issues with it, and that they should consider those things outside of it. But at the same time, let's just be real. It's not. This goes back to like the stadium stuff. I still don't think the public should fund stadiums for people worth billions of dollars. I also accept the fact that that is going to happen. And so what I want to get into is the part of where is the stadium going to go? So, like, I will say the one thing they're not thinking about is like, this saves my job is at some point, if you had so many teams, that part of it becomes so watered down that it doesn't mean the same thing anymore. Nobody cares. I've made the tournament 4 years in a row. We're like, we don't care, man. Everybody makes a tournament. Cool story. It will become about, did you get to the round of 32? How often did you get to the Sweet 16? They'll start judging. I think they'll move the line of judgment of what you've accomplished. Or even worse than that, they're not thinking about the part of how bad it looks now if you miss. What you're not thinking about is making the tournament saves me. If you miss now, embarrassing. You've missed 2 years in a row at K-State. How? They put 95 teams in the tournament. How do you keep missing? That's going to get your ass fired way faster.
Yeah, I just think
it can flip on you, I guess is the point.
That's fair. I think it also ends some of the conversation about the bubble teams. You know, there's always some intrigue the final week or two, like, oh, this team is on the bubble, first 4 in, last 4 in, or whatever it is, or last 4 out, I'm sorry, whatever it is. Like, that conversation to me kind of ends because, like, okay, and this year there would have been a conversation. You know, everybody was upset North Carolina got in. With the expanded field, they easily would have got in. Or they, you know, what I mean, it wouldn't even been a debate.
They wouldn't even have been on the. They wouldn't even have been a bubble team, right?
And they ended up winning. To me, I think.
I know they won a tournament game.
I think it's fun. I don't have a problem with it, but I don't think you should just be included in the field. You should have to do one of the first 4 games and play your way into the tournament, if you will. Especially if we're talking about the North Carolinas of the world and all of that stuff. You should have to play your way in and not just be guaranteed a spot. Where again,
No one's playing their way in if you got this many teams.
In fairness, if we went off of, if you just took the last 4 teams from last year and you put them in, then Boise State is included in that group. Indiana State would have been before. It might be one of the 4 spots, but at least there's, in all likelihood, a Mountain West school, another small school that happens to have a great season that just got left out for whatever small reason. You at least would be including a small school in there, I would hope, at least. Nobody wanted to see 15 and 17 Nebraska in the NCAA tournament.
Everyone wants to see UMKC, you know? When it comes down to it,
they still won't get in.
So help me. If UMKC, for whatever reason, doesn't win the Summit League tournament in their single biggest year ever, and it's between them and we finished 6-10 in SEC play Florida team. Not Florida, they're too good. But
Missouri.
LSU. And they get left out. Oh, man, I'm going to be sick. Sick to my
You're saying if UMKC goes 33-3 like Indiana State did a year ago or whatever. But then it's happened to lose in the Summit
League championship. Don't leave them out.
That would be some
Don't leave them out.
Stuff.
Keeping the small schools that just happen to not win their conference tournament this one time, you know? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar should have been in, like in the new field. That team needs to be in, you know? Do it for me.
Gold has no problems with this because KU is always going to be in, regardless.
Yeah, KU's already on a historic run of not missing the tournament. Yeah. They put this many teams in. How the hell are they ever going to miss the tournament?
They won't. It's just never going to happen.
I mean, they don't really miss anyway. It's always kind of
the field not being big enough has never really been a problem for them.
If they expanded to 7, if let's say they go to 96 eventually in 20 years, when like everybody's talking about, there's no way that KU ever misses.
Yeah, probably not.
All right, let's get to it.
Trash of the day.
All right, trash of the day today takes us to someone that clearly already wasn't trusting their spouse. A UK woman started suspecting her husband of cheating, but how she suspected is very interesting. I don't know. Do you guys have electric toothbrushes, or you just use their regular one? I've had one before. Right, the second I do not have one, it's one of those deals. Like I've had the electric toothbrush. I did not know that it has the ability to track through an app. I guess there's some that you can do that.
Mine does not have an app. Why do I need an app for my toothbrush?
I agree. Well, a UK woman suspected her husband of cheating after she checked the data on her electric toothbrush companion app and noticed that they were brushing at odd times of the day. She hired a private investigator with over a decade of experience, and basically one of the clients of this private investigator, married mother of 2, was trying to improve her children's brushing habits by monitoring their electronic toothbrush use via a smartphone. Noticed that the brush was being used at strange times of the days when her kids were supposed to be at school and her husband at work. After making sure her kids were indeed at school, she confronted her husband, who claimed to have been away at work all day. This toothbrush is brushing itself. Nope. Over time, the client noticed that her partner's brushing history had been logged at odd times when they were supposedly at work. At first, didn't seem like much. Brushing late in the morning, on Fridays, didn't raise immediate red flags. But over time, she saw a pattern. The electric toothbrush was being used on Friday mornings, a time when her husband was supposed to be at work. In reality, her spouse hadn't been to work.
Just Friday mornings.
Had not been to work on Friday mornings in months. Instead, he had been having an affair with a colleague right in the family home.
Unreal.
That's a crazy way to get caught, though.
Uh-huh.
That's a crazy
toothbrush
way
was
to get caught.
time-stamped 10:48. They were supposed to be at work at 9 a.m. It was very hard to explain away. So that toothbrush got this guy caught cheating in his own home.
I mean,
Jeez.
I'm assuming people do that a lot. I don't know, but that seems like, you're going to get a hotel every time. It's probably expensive. But the idea that, think about how nervous. And look, this woman's intuition was very correct on this. But think about how suspicious you got to be to start digging into toothbrush data. Were you getting an alert on your phone? How did you not turn that off? Who's checking toothbrush cycle data? And by the way, after the first time she noticed it and you're like, no, I was normal, you got to be on to the game.
Okay, so you're trying to make the excuse for the guy in
Oh,
terms
no,
of
no, no.
how did the
He's
guy
an
not get
idiot.
caught in this? Okay.
First, he, having an affair at the exact same time every week, that's wild behavior. I'll see you Friday at 10. It's not a meeting.
It's like
It was for them.
It was for them.
That was the time.
But he must have been doing a lot of shady stuff was my point. He must have just been coming off as he was cheating this entire time if you're digging into toothbrush data.
Oh,
well,
yeah,
no, it sounds like
that being
so. That's what I thought too.
So
that's what I thought too. You're already suspecting, but that doesn't seem like that's what happened here. It sounds like she was keeping an eye on toothbrush data for her kids. And then she thought it was odd that when she went on the app, somebody was brushing their teeth during the day. So she said at first she called the school to make sure her kids were in school. And that's when she found out. So I don't think she actually initially thought
she didn't resort to this as a way of finding out.
No, I don't think she actually thought her husband was cheating before. It was a tracking thing for her children, and then she was able to find out, hey, somebody's using
on the app too.
Somebody's using a toothbrush at 10 a.m. on Fridays. Nobody's supposed to be home, and that's how she found out.
That's wild.
Man, that's you know what? Cheater's going to get caught. If you cheat, you're going to get caught. That's just a reality of it.
I agree.
Just don't cheat on your spouse. That's
eventually it's going to get you.
Easy solution here. I've managed to do it my whole life. Not cheat on someone. So I imagine you are also capable of doing it.
Well, everybody's capable.
That's embarrassing. Also, I just don't want an app for.
They were doing the track for their kids.
My kids, they're
trying to make sure they knew how long their kids were brushing. I mean, I guess it makes sense.
I just taught my kids, there is buzz for 2 minutes. You don't stop brushing until the buzzer goes off.
Yeah.
Or when they were little, we did little timers where they could watch a video of something slowly unveil, of a character they liked. There's lots of ways to do this that aren't an app. That's a weird, I don't know. Guess I hadn't thought about an app.
It's an app for everything, evidently.
Someone says, does it work for toothbrush? It must have just been they were all logged into the same app and that she could see the toothbrush data of every toothbrush.
By the way, how expensive are these toothbrushes that you got 3 electric ones and they're all tracking how often you turn the toothbrush on, and it's hours?
So
that's a good question.
I guess the follow-up would be, was the tracking only in the kids' toothbrushes? So basically, he's giving this woman one of his kids'
I don't know if they were
That
sharing.
was unclear. That would be disgusting.
I took it as it was him brushing his teeth after.
That was what I took it.
That's how I took it.
Because I'll be honest, if you egregious if you let somebody else use your kid's toothbrush. Not only you a bad husband, now bad dad. Immediate bad dad behavior.
No, I think he was just brushing his teeth after having the affair, and that's how it registered the time.
Or before, right before she came over?
Both, maybe.
Why not both?
That's the trash of the day. All right, we'll get to the Chiefs Red Half Hour. Something Dusty had to say on the show yesterday about a Chiefs player. Do we agree with his projection on that player? Plus, one thing alone could maybe eliminate the Broncos from the AFC West. We'll explain next.
This is Cody and Gold.
You will not decorate my balls, period. I will decorate my balls.
Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com. 96.5, The Fan.
If you're trying to get through your daily activities and you're noticing you can't because you're focusing more on your pain than being able to enjoy the moment, those are the patients that we're looking to treat because we can make a difference.
That's Dr. Ashley Caravelli, a medical director for QC Kinetics.
What we're doing at QC Kinetics is offering treatments that help with joint preservation. We use cutting-edge technology in our in-house lab to harness your body's natural healing powers and target the areas where you need them the most.
These are regenerative, non-surgical treatments, and QC Kinetics is the nation's leader, delivering lasting relief to tens of thousands of patients.
What we do know is that the sooner we start treatment, the sooner you'll see relief.
So don't wait another minute. See if you're a good candidate for these non-surgical treatments for joint pain. The consultation is completely free.
Call QC Kinetics, 816-412-6299. That's 816-412-6299. 816-412-6299.
Call Aspen Lawn and Pest Control. Our iconic blue trucks and expert team get it right the first time. Award-winning full-service lawn care and pest control since 1985. Call today for a free estimate. Visit aspenlawn.com.
It's the spring sales event at Rob Sight Ford, and I'm here with the man himself, Rob Sight. Rob, you already stole the spotlight. Now what are you trying to take?
Just your attention, Kevin, and maybe a few trade-ins. Now, we've got up to $14,000 off new Fords with employee pricing, plus our own dealer discount.
$14,000. That's hotter than your Sunday barbecue.
Exactly. And unlike your burgers, these deals won't dry out. We've got hard-to-find inventory, huge trade-in values, and our non-commissioned sales team makes everything so easy.
No pressure, just real help. Even I'll admit it, it's the best place in Kansas City to buy a car, and I don't hand out compliments lightly, or seconds.
That's a fact. And don't forget, we're Kansas City's top-rated Ford dealer on Google. 4.8 stars, nearly 3,000 reviews, and 0 grill marks.
All right, Rob, I'll give it to you, man. You're cooking up some real value over there.
Come see us at 135th and State Line, or visit our robsight.com. But hurry, these deals are sizzling and inventory is moving fast.
And tell him Rob sent you. No guarantees, but he might throw in a hot dog.
KC, let's get loud at Big Slick 2025. Enjoy comedy, music, and more at the Big Slick Show on May 31st at T-Mobile Center with all proceeds benefiting Children's Mercy. Tickets are on sale now at BigSlickKC.org. Peace and quiet are not invited, but you are.
Looking for the perfect engagement ring? At Shane Company, we know this is an exciting time. It can also be overwhelming. Customers say this a lot. Where do I start? How do I choose? At Shane Company, this is where the magic happens. Since 1929, we've been experts at helping customers find the perfect engagement ring. We invite you into the design process, help you pick out the perfect diamond or colorful gemstone, and choose a style that speaks to you. Come see us in store and at shaneco.com. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Hi, Mia here at the winnings desk of the Missouri Lottery. So, I wanted to write a thank you note for every dollar Missouri Lottery players have given to Missouri and education, but that would be 8.4 billion notes. So to save a little time and a whole lot of paper, here's just one. Dear every single lottery player in Missouri, thank you for helping us give $8.4 billion to Missouri and education. Sorry, my trumpet's in the shop. The Missouri Lottery. Winners welcome and play responsibly.
Ring the bell. We've done it again. Golden Oak Lending has lowered rates to 4.875 fixed. Lower your monthly payment, get cash out, pay off credit cards, and best of all, make no mortgage payments for 2 months. Lock in this incredible 4.875 rate and get your cash in as little as 14 days. Call 913-890-GOLD.
Golden Oak Landing cured my blues.
5.81 APR, FHA, 15-year, 20% equity qualified credit. Additional terms apply. NMLS 114937.
Here's comedian Howie Mandel for hands-free Cozy Fit Skechers slip-ins.
Yeah, I'm holding a new Cozy Fit Skechers slip-in sneaker, and first of all, I barely know I'm holding it. It's that light. You see, Cozy Fit is a cool new sneaker where the upper is made of a soft quilted material. It's kind of like a little puffer jacket for your feet, except it looks like a super stylish sneaker.
Introducing new Cozy Fit Skechers slip-ins, the latest comfort creation from Skechers. You can find Cozy Fit Skechers slip-ins at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
If Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea was your best friend, it would be the kind of friend that starts an impromptu dance party in the supermarket aisle that turns into an all-day pool party rager at your place, and you don't even own a pool. Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea turns any day into a legendary adventure. It's smooth and refreshing real iced tea with just the right kick of alcohol. Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Keep it twisted.
Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly.
Do you think astronauts fight over elbow room? Probably. Because advanced tech doesn't always mean more space. Until now. Introducing the Hyundai Ioniq 9, a 3-row electric SUV with over 300 miles of range, ultra-fast charging capability, and lots of space. The all-new Hyundai Ioniq 9. Space in an EV. Visit HyundaiUSA.com or call 562-314-4603 for more details.
Ioniq 9 is available in extremely limited quantities at select dealers in select states only. EPA estimated range based on fully charged battery. For comparison purposes only. Actual range will vary based on several factors.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to Bundle Deal Days at AutoZone.
Well, I do need a bndle of things.
When you bundle, you save.
Do I save if I bundle oil with an oil filter?
Save up to $12 on that bundle.
What about brake pads and rotors?
Bundle those and the brake pads are free.
Can't save more than free.
You can save on hundreds of deals during Bundle Deal Days. Ends June 2nd at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply. Duralast brake pads only.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios. Welcome in to the Chiefs Red Half Hour. Every day at 11:30 with Cody and Gold on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan.
Chiefs Red Half Hour brought to you by All Weather Decks, Kansas City's most respected deck builder. Check them out at allweatherdecks.net.
So, Fesco and Dusty, of course, always on right before us. And yesterday, Dusty was talking about some projections over-unders for the Chiefs. And we'll see when the official numbers come out for FanDuel and DraftKings. There's some books out there you can already find some of the numbers, but the number Dusty threw out there was 800 yards. He would say under 800 yards for Travis Kelce this year. We all know that this is probably the last year for Travis Kelce. We all know last year how the season went. We also know there's a lot of speculation reports that he looks like he's lost some weight this offseason, that he's kind of going all in for one last hurrah. Even what was viewed as a down year last year, he had 97 catches for 823.
In a down year.
I would not take the under. Now, I'm not taking over, 1,100 yards like maybe you would, but 823 last year when they didn't have a primary weapon outside of him really until later in the year when Worthy continued to develop. This year, the offense, assuming Rashee Rice is good to go, is going to run through Rice. Kelce can be the number 2 guy, which will actually make his job easier. I do buy into the fact that based on the photos we have seen, he looks like he's in great shape. And
he looks slender.
The cliche best shape of my life thing. I actually do think
he's in the best shape of his life. He's in his late 30s.
I think he's in better shape than he was at this time last year.
I agree.
I think that's fair. And so under 800, I can't get there.
I'm not sure I'd take under 9.
I think it's in. I was going to say like 850 to 950 range is kind of what I'm thinking. I don't know what the actual number will be set at the main books. Offshore, I can look probably real quick and find out. But I'm not going under 800. If it's under 800, I think that means he's missing a game or two.
So last year, as you remember, you still would have hit his over on his yardage total.
Yep.
So crazy enough, even after a down year. So guess what his yardage total is going to be this year? It'll probably be by the time, and I'm going to hammer it because I'm a degenerate for betting Travis Kelce overs when it comes to the season. It's going to be 710. And you're going to be like, but how? Because last year when I bet it, it was still in the 700s last year.
Yeah, 750 and a half or 775.
Yeah, when people still thought highly or even more highly of Travis. I'll guess it's in the 720 range. 720, 725 range. And I will happily bet the over because that feels like a number. I think he is still, no matter how they structure the offense, always, until the day he retires, going to be maybe even the top target guy in the list. I think his yards per catch are down. I think all that stuff is down. But there is no version of the Chiefs offense. I don't care how much they throw to Rashee Rice or Xavier Worthy. I do not think there is a version of the Chiefs offense this year that if Travis Kelce is healthy, that he is not thrown to 100 times. And maybe I'm way off on that, and they got big plans to start making this shift because his targets, in fairness, were way down in the first few weeks when Rashee Rice had become kind of a target monster at the beginning. And maybe I'm way off here, and the target share is getting ready to fade a little bit on Travis Kelce. I have a hard time imagining an offense in which he's not targeted a ton.
So he's still going to be targeted a lot, but by his standard, I think it will be down. I mean, it was 133 targets last year. He had 121 in 15 games the year before, and then he had a career high in targets, 152 back in 2022 when he had, the second most receiving yards of his career, 1338 and 12 touchdowns. He had an unbelievable year in 2022. I think his targets go from 133. I could see his targets dipping down to 115, 117, which would be the lowest since he was 27 years old in 2016. And that year, he still finished with 85 catches and 1,100 yards. So it
just targeted less.
Yeah. So I
think he might be more productive with less targets, too. Yeah.
So I'm with you there. I think the targets are dipping, though. I just think they have to. If the offense is going to run the way that they claim they intended when everybody was going to be healthy,
that's why I said less than 100 targets.
And they have said, with their actions this offseason and how they've approached the wide receiver room, that they believe that they had the right mix. It just nobody was available by the time they got to the start of the season in Hollywood Brown's case, or obviously the Rashee Rice ACL, or not ACL, whatever the injury was for his knee. And so they're banking on them all being together. And if they're together, then I think you can take some of the workload off of Travis Kelce. He can be fresher later on in the season. Still have let's call it 110, 115 target season that results in him having 850, 950 yards, and we'll call it, 6-7 touchdowns, which is a very good NFL season for someone at the age of 30. I think he'll be 36 by the time the season's over. He's 35 right now, right? So
I don't know, man.
What is he? He's 35 right now. So
under 800 doesn't even seem plausible for him. I go back to Tony Gonzalez.
If he's healthy, no.
Because, I go back to Tony Gonzalez because there is no other comparison I can make. I don't have any other tight end who's been as successful as he's been this late into his NFL career. There's no other person. It's only Tony Gonzalez, and he pretty much just capped out right around where Travis Kelce was last year, 850. I think there's too much of their offense that just works with him inside of it for him not to get passes thrown his way at some point. And that's really what it boils down to, is that he's the freebie pass. You know, we look for the, like, hey, look for the check down. He's the check down. The running back is not the check down. He's the check down. If they need 5 yards, 6 yards here or there, and they're not sure, and Xavier Worthy's running downfield, and they're not sure it's open, Travis is always just there. And so it's hard to imagine a world in which he's below 800 yards from me. Again, assuming health. But I also still like, the more and more I see, like, the way he's getting in shape, all this stuff, even just like the silly things, like I think they also talked about on their show, which was the Kelce jam stuff getting delayed. It feels like he is all in for one last hurrah. He wants desperately to go out with a bang and to like finish strong and look like Travis Kelce and win a Super Bowl and do all those things and feel like the player he's been his entire career.
That's definitely what it looks like. That's definitely the narrative that's out there around Travis Kelce. We'll find out if that's actually the case, but that's definitely the thought and what everybody is assuming, and certainly it looks like from some of the videos, or photos, I should say, that have been out there. Look, the final year, it's interesting you bring up Gonzalez, though. The final year is kind of what I'm saying for Kelce. Gonzalez was 37, though, in his final year, but 83 catches, 859 and 8 touchdowns. I just told you, I think Kelce's an 850 to 950 yard guy in his final year. Now, he still had 121 targets, different offense and different era of the league and everything. But yeah, I think the final year of Tony Gonzalez is kind of what I think the final year of Kelce could look like, statistically at least.
I think that's more than reasonable. Honestly, more than reasonable to assume that. I don't think I would predict 1,000 yards, but that's not even with him. If there were another guys to throw to, I'd probably still say 1,000 yards would be my guess, because I know Travis Kelce's career, but because they have so many weapons this year that currently are on the field, including Hollywood, including Rice, including Worthy. And some of this depends. If you think Hollywood Brown is like a 750-yard wide receiver, you probably should be down on Travis Kelce's numbers. I don't think Hollywood Brown's ever really been that. I think he's more like a 600-yard wide receiver, and I'm fine with that. That's not like a knock on the player or that I expect or want more. That's fine, honestly. I think Worthy and Rice are likely to be somewhere near the top together, depending on, again, whether or not there's ever a suspension with Rice. I'm done. That's about the same as stadium top. I guess I'm just going to stop talking about the potential of Rashee Rice getting a suspension until there's any movement on that at all.
I don't know if we'll know till training camp. Because, one, the legal process has to get cleared up, but then also in August, you have to have the league make a decision. So first, you know what I mean? Like the NFL, yes, does their own investigation, but they got to wait for things to wrap up in Dallas. I mean, I think isn't there a civil date, case date set
this summer? Yeah, June,
a court date set, I should say. But we don't know on the criminal side.
This is very small, but there's two things related to the Taylor Swift part of this Travis Kelce thing.
All right.
Mentioned. One, Carrington made an excellent point during the next game in which they showed Timothy Chalamet 45 times more than they showed Taylor.
Nobody freaked out then,
Swift.
did they?
And it wasn't like we didn't have to do national articles and an indictment about the showing of Timothy Chalamet.
You know the difference. You know what the difference is.
I know. I am
It's
aware.
not fair, but you know the difference.
I am very aware. The second part of this, and I am dead serious, Travis Kelce's always been a hard worker. I don't think you can be without being I don't think you can be a Hall of Fame player without being like an incredibly diligent, motivated person, all this other stuff. I kind of think Taylor deserves a little bit of credit because all the reputation on her for like the amount she put into this tour. I think Travis saw what it took for her to execute that over the course of a year and the sheer amount of absolute grind it took to do it for a year. And he's like, man, I don't think I'm working like that. Like, I think that there was like honest to God, I think there's a part of him who was like, damn, there's a whole nother level of work I can do. And he found it for an off season. Like, I honestly think that there might be some part of like, I know, I'm speculating. There's no like factual basis.
I have no clue, man. Maybe there might be. I have no clue. I also think more, possible. It's just,
he wants
it's
to
his
go
final.
out
he knows it's his final year, and he wants to go out and have a good year, and so he's just going to work harder. I'm not saying like clearly she's had an influence on him, but to what extent on the football side of things, I don't know. That's maybe a bit of a stretch for me. I don't know, but it's hopefully going to set up for a hell of a final season for Travis Kelce in the NFL.
It's still so weird that there's nothing. I can't. Every time I search, I'm like, okay, maybe I missed it. Maybe there's a criminal charge for Rashee Rice from the state of Texas. As far as I can tell, there were never like filed charges against him in a criminal matter for speeding, even though there's video evidence that he was definitely speeding and he already admitted to doing it. So I'm just like, man, I don't know. What a weird time.
Yeah, then like people, the whole the whole on camera stuff though is funny with the celebrities. And that was their argument back even when people were upset that Taylor Swift was being shown on TV. Was like they've been showing stars courtside Spike Lee for decades. They used to show Jack for Lakers game courtside for decades. Sure. Jerry Jones, yes, he's the owner, but they show him stuffing his face with popcorn during games at a Diet Coke or whatever. Nobody cares about that 100 times during a game, So that was always the crazy thing.
I've never noticed or cared, but then everybody raised a huge stink when they started showing her a couple times. Be happy for Travis Kelce. I'm like, yeah. It turns out sports. This is why the Knicks seats exist. The Knicks have a section at their stadium called Celebrity Row. Mm-hmm. They just put famous people there so they could show them. That's the whole point. It's designed that way. Oh, you got a brand new show on CBS? Want to come sit courtside for the Knicks? You just got to be nice and wave and lean in a little bit, and we'll sit you nice and close for the Knicks game. It's always that kind of stuff. So
it goes back to the Chiefs fatigue nationally.
Tracy Morgan, too, is another one.
There's always some. I was looking at so I keep thinking about the AFC West because everyone nationally is going to think the Chiefs are eventually going to lose the AFC West, and those thoughts have already started. So what I've started to do is dive into the AFC West and look for the holes in their problem. Like how many wins we think it takes to win the AFC West. Bare minimum, do we all agree? To win the AFC West, bare minimum, 11.
Yeah, bare minimum,
There is no scenario in which less than 11 wins does this. All right, so Arrowhead did a nice job, and I took a look at this. All right, let's take a look at the Broncos first. Here's part of the thing that people never factor into when they start looking for these teams that can compete. The Denver Broncos has a stretch, weeks 3, 4, and 5 of the season, including one day, it's nothing short week, but about the same, of at the Chargers, at home versus the Bengals, a team that does not match up well for them on paper.
Is that in September or October?
September.
Okay, well, that's good news for Denver.
That is good news for Denver.
Already,
They're really bad.
That's an L for Cincinnati.
Almost October.
That's a win for the Broncos.
And then Eagles on the road. So by the time this season starts, assuming they do not slip up against the Titans at home, which I don't assume they would, or the Colts on the road, a team that I think they do, they could easily be 2-3 to start the season, or 3-2 to start the season. And then what kind of run do they have to go to? Not to mention 2 weeks after that, again, the middle part of their schedule, they have to take on the Cowboys and the Texans in consecutive games, and the Chiefs 3 out of 4 weeks in that stretch. Their middle part of the schedule is too hard. They're going to not get through that without 4 or 5 losses. The mystery loss comes outside of it, and then they're done. I've already eliminated the Broncos from winning the AFC West, barring injury for one of the teams at the top. The middle part of their schedule is too tough. I didn't even mention Washington. They face the Chiefs, Washington, the Cowboys, and the Texans 4 out of 5 weeks, not to mention the earlier stretch.
It's a tough schedule. I'll say this, though. The Broncos, after winning, 10 games last year, I think it was, or 11, I can't remember, 10, I think, for the Broncos. With where they're at now, second year of Bo Nix, some of those opponents, I'm with you. Some of them, I would argue, like, they're no different than the Broncos. So why do we, you know what I mean? Like,
why are they losing?
The Chargers and Broncos playing each other as a coin flip game.
It's just
Broncos
Chargers on the road, so I was giving the edge to the home team.
The Broncos, but the Chargers. I mean, there'll be more Broncos fans there. The Cowboys.
It's not as bad as playing in them.
Cowboys Broncos game. I view them as very similar football teams potentially this year. If anything, I'd give the edge to the Broncos right this second. So
they got the better defense.
I don't think it's as automatic, I guess, as I would say, like loss.
I'm not saying they're all losses.
I don't believe I think the Broncos are finishing third in this division. So I guess by that logic, I kind of agree with you. I just don't know if we can just say, well, 2-3 to start for sure for the Broncos, and in case closed. I don't think it'll play out that way, but I also believe that the Chargers will be the biggest competition to the Chiefs in this division, not the Denver Broncos. You also think Bo Nix is going to have the biggest regression year, too, so that's probably part of this.
Yeah, some of it is definitely that, and that's just based on history. I think the sophomore slump is very real in the NFL, and it doesn't even mean that I think Bo Nix can't be a 7-10-year starter or whatever, in the NFL. I don't think he's going to be as efficient as he was last year. I think the touchdowns will come down. I think the interceptions will go up. I don't think the yards are going to take some huge dip or huge swing up.
Mm-hmm.
Unless there's something there that I'm just not seeing. And this doesn't go back to like me making fun of him being old or whatever. It's just I think that this is just like his history would tell us that you are, I think, more likely to have a sophomore slump than not in the NFL. When you have really, really, really good rookie seasons historically, and I think Denver knows that. I think why Denver is planning on winning defense, not Bo Nix. Their plan is still to just be the best defensive team in the league, which might work.
I mean, their top pick was on a corner opposite Surtain.
The best defense in the league.
Yeah, like
they got a real shot.
They spent their top pick on a corner to play opposite Surtain, but they also spent a fairly high pick on a running back in RJ Harvey as well. And they signed Evan Ingram in the offseason as well, who had a very nice season in what Jacksonville, I guess it would have been the year before. So we'll see how it plays out. I hear you on the sophomore slump stuff. We do see it every time. My only thing with Bo Nix, I wonder. I'm not expecting as big of a drop-off because I think, as we have said over and over, the reason why it's great that they actually drafted him, it brought stability, but in the division, the Broncos are not going to be trying to draft a franchise quarterback for a bit, and the Bo Nix is a ceiling level of where Derek Carr was in his best years. Yeah. That's it. Oh, he can beat you, no doubt. He can beat you. There's no Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson in your division, okay? Doesn't exist, thank goodness.
Herbert was the closest thing to it for a while, and we've obviously changed our expectations on him.
So the ceiling is lower for Bo Nix. Therefore, I actually think the floor is higher. Therefore, the regression, to me, margin is not there. The same way Jaden Daniels obviously has way more room to regress just because of his ceiling still continues to be, he hadn't reached it yet, right? Jaden Daniels can win an MVP in this league at some point in time. I don't think anybody thinks Bo Nix is ever winning an MVP.
No. The best would be that Derek Carr year where you're kind of in the conversation.
Third, he got hurt. He might have won it.
For a little bit of time. Look, I just go back. Some of it is like the simple stuff. I watch him play and watch CJ Stroud play, and I'm like, he's not as good as CJ Stroud. And CJ Stroud had a much worse second year than first year. And part of that was because of offensive line play or things that like you can't control, Nico Collins getting hurt or anything else. But the Broncos were remarkably lucky last year in that department. Their offensive line was healthy all year. Their defense was healthy a good chunk of the year. They didn't, I think that there's, as we've said before, regression to the mean outside of that. I also just think once they get some tape on you, they trick you into more interceptions and you make more mistakes and then your team gets in more trouble. It's not even that I think Bo Nix is a bad quarterback. It's not that. It's just when I look at their schedule, Golden, there's probably, I think I counted 9 or 10 games on their schedule where they are not definitively better than any of them. They're either worse than those teams or, like you said, we consider them on par with those teams. So if I just give them 5-5 in that scenario, then I'm only getting them to 12 wins with 0 other slip-ups in any other part of the schedule.
What is a regression for Bo Nix, though? So he had 29 touchdowns, 12 picks last year. He had 3,700 yards.
24. It'll be 22 touchdowns, 14 picks, and maybe the yardage is about the same in probably that. Like his interception ratio goes up, his yards per game maybe stay about the same. That's regression.
You're saying he's getting closer to Kirk Cousins than what he did last year because Kirk Cousins had 18 touchdowns, 16 picks. I mean, you're saying he's closer to Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins had a terrible year.
Well,
last year.
I know. I know. I don't think it'd be quite that bad.
Because his numbers were eerily similar to Kyler Murray, Brock Purdy, just with less touchdowns. Josh Allen
had a sophomore slump too.
He had more touchdowns than Josh Allen, but more interceptions. Matt Stafford, similar stats too.
It's not just a stats thing too. Some of it's just the more mistakes you play, your team regresses a little bit.
Because I think you're right. Where I don't know if I expect the Broncos to regress at all. It's just that they're going to make up for it with the best defense in the league potentially. Like Bo Nix might not be as good, but that doesn't mean they're losing more games than they did last year.
Well, I think the Broncos are winning at least 10 games. I really do. I don't
think they're third in the division.
And
you think it's like
10,
11, 12.
Yeah, very similar to what it was last year. Now, I don't think the Chiefs are winning 15 games, but I could see the Chiefs win 13 or 12. Chargers win 11 or 12. Broncos win 10 or 11. In that scenario, the Chiefs probably still win the division. So
someone's asking what a Jaden Daniels slump looks like. He seems less likely to regress because they increased his weapons and helped his offensive line.
I also just think Jaden Daniels is that dude. So I just think Jaden Daniels is that special of a player. So
they're also going to have to score. They have nobody at defensive end. Like you want to talk about a team that's still going to have to let it fly? It's the Commanders.
No, they're still going to trade for Trey Hendrickson right before the season.
Fine, if they do that, then I'll change my opinion on their need to score. As of right now, they need to score. They do not have any. Their best defensive end is a guy I can't even remember the name of now. They're not good.
Dietrich Wise. They brought in from free agency.
That's their best one?
Probably.
Oof.
I mean, they've got Dorrance Armstrong. I mean, they still got Jerron Payne. They brought in Javon Kinlaw. But, I mean, I'd say Dietrich Wise is probably their guy.
It's not great.
Secondary, they added
Javon
some more
Kinlaw,
free.
49ers,
They really dedicated free agency stuff to defense.
Yeah.
They brought in 6 free agents on the defensive side of the ball.
But nobody was like a dude. Trey Hendrickson, there was a new article out today. Did anybody read it? I saw Adam Schefter retweeted. There was a new article. I didn't read it yet. It just said, update on the continued contract problems or something with Trey Hendrickson. What do you think, Drew? Will Trey Hendrickson be a Cincinnati Bengal week 1 of this season?
Yes.
Oh, man, you said that too confident. I'm
Yes,
more like
he'll be
50.
there.
I'm more like 50-50.
He'll be on the roster and be playing week 1. I think they'll pay him.
Oh, you think he's getting a contract
I
too?
think he's getting a contract.
Well, I think it's the only way he plays this year.
Can't even sign their first round pick.
That's the only way.
Switched. Drew changed teams. He started blaming the agent. It's the agent's fault.
What?
Based on what he's asking for,
do you know who the agent works for?
The player.
So if the player wants to get the damn thing done and says,
what is the thing he's asking for, reportedly?
He's asking for something that I don't think any first-round pick has asked for before. He's asking for more guaranteed money, but he wants it spread out over he wants guarantees over the entirety of his rookie contract, which I don't think has ever happened before. I think it's
so he wants his guaranteed spread out over 5 years?
Something along those lines, which I don't know if that's ever happened before for a first-round pick. In terms of like the way that he wants to be paid less per year, but he wants to be paid more in like signing bonus. I don't know. There's something weird and unique about it. His dad recently said something about it as well. I didn't read it because I'm not putting the time into that. The man's going to be playing in week 1, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, the rookie.
This is from Pro Football Talk. On May 8th, so for the argument about the fully guaranteed, on May 8th, the Texans gave their second-round pick, the second pick of the second round, the first fully guaranteed contract ever for a second-round pick.
Yeah, that was history.
So it's happened. It has happened. Now, it was a second-round pick. We're talking about a first-round pick here.
I think it was something in the language about yearly salary versus the guarantees or something along those lines.
I get why you wouldn't want to give a second-round pick a fully guaranteed contract. It's a
think
second-round pick. First-round pick, I mean, it is kind of, we're talking, it's still...
It's like $15 million. Who cares?
Well,
I mean, it's more than that, but it's not way more than
that. That's where I've always said from the start, I think the thing with Shamar Stewart's more embarrassing than the whole Trey Hendrickson thing, actually. Like, it's less money. Just give him the money.
All right, up next, we will get to what's trending, and we'll talk more about Noah Cameron, who continues to be stellar since being called up from Omaha. But what do they do? It's a good problem to have. What options do they have? We'll try to talk through them next.
Watch Cody and Gold on YouTube by subscribing to the 96.5 YouTube channel. Cody and Gold is brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
You want to be sitting on a good deck, a comfortable deck. You want your dream deck, and you can see them over at All Weather Decks. The right deck at the right price. A 24-time award winner of Angie's List Super Service Award. They've got a great showroom. You can check out their reviews. Go to allweatherdecks.net and see for yourself why you're doing this. Look, we talk about this all the time. I love spending time out on my decks during the summer, and you should want to love spending time out there too. And we're talking about trusted, locally owned and operated companies. That's what you're getting with the highest quality work available over at All Weather Decks. Again, go to allweatherdecks.net or give them a call, 913-206-1974.
Bank of America is a nation's leading business lender, and we're ready to help with your next goal here in Kansas City. That's why we have over 3,700 local business specialists across the country. Because with the right team, your business and community prosper. What would you like the power to do? Learn more at bankofamerica.com/local business. Bank of America, official bank of FIFA Club World Cup 2025. Bank of America Corporation, all rights reserved.
The Other Place, Shawnee, Olathe, downtown Overland Park, Mission, and Belton have lots of big screens, great food, and beer specials. Plus, patio season is coming up soon. The Other Place is your home for baseball this spring. The Other Place and theotherplace.com.
Having unexpected car trouble or just in a car accident? Call Jay Southland Tow Service, 816-779-4869 or southlandtow.com. Use the tow service trusted by most local police departments. They can do it all. Be in the know and call Jay's Southland Tow.
At CertaPro Painters, we know that a happy place comes in many colors, like ones that inspire a sense of wonder, or a new flavor that makes life just a little bit sweeter, or one to celebrate those moments that lift you to new heights. We can reawaken any space to make your happy place your home. CertaPro Painters. That's painting happy. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
The semifinals are here. That means all the show-stopping action is turning up a notch. Don't miss your chance to bet on all the legendary moments with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. FanDuel's the best place to find all your favorite player props, and now you can make the smarter play with new performance trends. Want to see if a guy is hitting that over consistently, or maybe they've been flirting with a potential triple-double. Get the latest stats right inside the app and see who's heating up. And once the game starts, that's when things get interesting. You can combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. If you don't already have FanDuel, it's not too late to get in on the action. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. So visit FanDuel.com/Alex to join today. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA and 96.5 The Fan. 21 and President, Kansas. First on real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bet, which expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700. Visit kansasgamblinghelp.com.
Exercising and being outside are two things I love doing almost every day. I can't imagine joint pain slowing me down. The good news is, if you do have joint pain, I've got the answer for you. QC Kinetics has over 50,000 satisfied patients in less than a decade, and everyone is getting results with no drugs, no surgery, and no downtime at all. QC Kinetics has been on the cutting edge of regenerative medicine. They use natural treatments that harness your body's own healing power. Regenerative medicine used to be an alternative, and now it's mainstream. So if you love being outside and working out as much as I do, or you just love to play golf or tennis or doing everyday activities, and you don't want to live with that joint pain any longer, call my friends over at QC Kinetics. Don't let sore knees or elbows or shoulders or a back keep you from doing the things you love. Call QC Kinetics today, 816-412-6299, 816-412-6299. Off 435 in State Line and in Gladstone. It's QC Kinetics.
Reiselman Nissan, the king of midsize SUVs, has the ride you've been waiting for. Shop the best selection of Rogues and Kicks in Kansas City, with payments starting at just $399 a month. Plus, every day, Reiselman salutes our first responders and heroes with special discounts. With over 160 new Nissans on the lot, your perfect ride is waiting. Visit ReiselmanNissan.com today and experience royal treatment at Reiselman Nissan. Every customer, every time. Reiselman Nissan. Not all vehicles may apply. See dealer or check ReiselmanNissan.com for all details.
That's the sound of James adding long-lasting Gain scent boosters to his laundry this morning. Several hours later, James sniffs the irresistible scent of Gain on his shirt. Gain. Several hours later, James has even caught the attention of his mother-in-law, and she never gives him attention.
Ooh, you smell amazing, James.
Oh, thanks, Mom. I love you too.
I never said that.
Add Gain scent boosters to your laundry. Add joy to your day.
Everyone has a fave Wendy's Frosty flavor. And when you're choosing from chocolate or vanilla, it's not that hard. But now, there's all new Frosty Swirls and Frosty Fusions. So try picking your fave from Oreo Brownie Fusion, Pop-Tarts Strawberry Fusion, Strawberry Swirl, Brownie Batter Swirl, Caramel Swirl, and Caramel Crunch Fusion. Not so easy now, huh? For a fresh way to Frosty, gotta be Wendy's.
At participating U.S. Wendy's, Oreo is a trademark of Mondelez International Group. Pop-Tarts is a trademark of Kellogg North America Co., LLC, used with permission.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to Bundle Deal Days at AutoZone.
Well, I do need a bundle of things.
When you bundle, you save.
Do I save if I bundle oil with an oil filter?
Save up to $12 on that bundle.
What about brake pads and rotors?
Bundle those and the brake pads are free.
Can't save more than free.
You can save on hundreds of deals during Bundle Deal Days. Ends June 2nd at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply. Duralast brake pads only.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
But do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can watch every show, plus video clips and shorts, all right from your phone, desktop, or table. The Fan's YouTube channel at 965 The Fan, KFNZ FM and AM HD1 and HD2, Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station. What's trending?
What's Trending is presented by Baker University, where graduates earn higher salaries and land jobs faster than any other university in Kansas. Apply today at bakeru.edu. While the Royals avoided the sweep of the Reds, they got it done last night. Noah Cameron, once again, was phenomenal. We're going to talk more about him and the good problem that they have with how well he is pitching and what they could do and some of the decisions they have to make. But the Royals, boy, oh boy, they needed that one. Off day today before the huge series against the Detroit Tigers this weekend. Felt like you needed this to kind of just stabilize things again.
Once again, taking down aces, you know?
Yeah, they are 30-27 on the season. They are essentially, win percentage-wise, just off the pace of the Guardians and Twins. They're basically a win away from moving into second place in the division, just like that. Obviously, the Tigers are 7 games up on them, so if you could win a series against the Tigers, you have a completely different feeling come Monday morning.
Yeah, I would say taking 2 out of 3 against the Tigers this weekend at home.
They're
would
beating
certainly
everybody,
feel,
man.
but they're
crazy.
They're the best team in baseball. Yeah. So taking 2 out of 3 against them would feel very good. Really, really good. Lugo is expected, right, to make his start this weekend?
The thought is he will be back, yeah.
He's currently listed as the plausible starter, I think, on Saturday. Next up on What's Trending, the Royals did send out a press release yesterday regarding their stadium stuff. We'll get back into it a little bit later in the show. Essentially admitted that they had purchased through an affiliate the Asperia campus over there in Overland Park at 119th.
The mortgage.
The mortgage on it over there in Overland Park. So we'll see kind of what that looks like, at least on that. And they also said they've made investments on the Missouri and the Kansas side in future stadium stuff. Mostly just getting it out there that they're still looking at both sides of the state line and that they've made no firm decision on where they're going to go, citing that it takes a long time to decide this. We all know that on Monday, Missouri legislature will be a part of a special session discussing how to fund Chiefs and Royal stuff in the future.
Yeah, it feels a lot like just some leverage there. Just reminding those that are about to discuss it in Jefferson City that, hey, we're serious about this whole thing on the Kansas side. All right, elsewhere on What's Trending, the NCAA is considering expanding the men's basketball tournament to 72 teams as soon as 2026. So as soon as this coming year's NCAA tournament. Coaches are on board with this. We talked about the reasons why they would be. More job security. They can say they made an NCAA tournament. Helps them overall with even potentially contract incentives. Overall, not a huge fan of the idea to expand it, but I recognize it's probably going to happen. And it's been discussed now for a couple of years. I just don't like it because
once you get
to
the
me,
conferences on board,
it's not going to allow the more Cinderellas or mid-majors in. And that's what I want in the early rounds. Now, I told you, I loved what we had in this Final Four this year, where we had the top dogs and it created some great games. But in general, I think we're going to end up with, the 12th best team in the Big 12 or the 12th best team in the SEC getting in, not the second best team in...
Not Indiana State from a couple of years
right.
ago.
Yeah.
I think the more teams you add, the more likely that is, but still not likely enough. Next up on What's Trending, the Thunder crushed the Timberwolves last night. They advanced to the NBA Finals. SGA named Western Conference Finals MVP. Knicks and Pacers, Game 5 tonight. Pacers have a chance to close it out. Cat is expected to be a limited player maybe tonight after that knee contusion, so we'll see exactly how that goes. He's been a big-time player in this series, but the Knicks on the verge of elimination.
Lastly for you, the College Football Hall of Fame has announced they have tweaked a little bit of their criteria to potentially allow Mike Leach, of course, the late Mike Leach, into the College Football Hall of Fame. The issue was that he was underneath the 60% winning percentage threshold.
He was 1 win short of it.
And 1 win short. And so they announced today that they have revised the minimum career winning percentage from 600 to 59%, 595, right? So 59% win percentage to get it done, which would open the door for him to be inducted beginning in 2027. He's going to get in now.
Yeah, I would think so. Be kind of surprising.
He was going to be one of the biggest, snubs, if you will, of the College Football Hall of Fame. But they tweaked it, and they weren't egregious with it. They didn't lower it down to 55% or something.
But it is kind of funny to lower it just so you can get one person in, Yeah. Like you're doing that. You're doing that just for one person.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's definitely because of Mike Leach, no doubt. There's no denying that.
But, good for Mike Leach. He was a lot of fun. Honestly, a lot of stuff when I think of Hall of Fames are just people you remember in the sport. And more than even guys who probably won more than him, I'm going to remember Mike Leach more as a part of college football.
The way offenses are run now is partially because of him.
Yeah. He had a big impact in the game. There's no doubt about it. So good for him, I guess. Yeah, he will get in. One way or the other.
Coming up in about 20 minutes, we'll talk with J.J. Cooper of Baseball America. We'll talk Cags with him, and we'll also talk about Noah Cameron, who we will discuss right now, because Noah Cameron is technically the 5th-rated prospect in the Royals organization, and he continues to deal, and he made history last night. He is just the second pitcher since 1893 with 6 1/3 or more innings pitched, 1 run or less in his first 4 big league starts. That came from Elias Sports Bureau. So he continues to be just an unbelievable story. And last night, even in a situation where I don't think overall, if you talk about his stuff or just how well he pitched, wasn't his best outing, but he still was able to be that effective, that dominant at times. And he is now in an interesting spot. And I think the Royals are now in an interesting spot because production-wise, he, of course, should not be sent back down to AAA.
That's crazy. He's pitched
Right?
4 gems.
But Seth Lugo's coming back from IL this weekend. Cole Reagans maybe has to do a rehab start. We'll see, but he's on his way back. You know Chris Bubich is doing. Michael Lorenzen had pitched very well. He's had a couple bad outings recently, but overall, Michael Lorenzen's been really good for you. So what do you do here? And, you know, as much as I know it sounds crazy, like, how could you? He's pitched so well, you can't send him down. I think you got to have room for a guy. So it's either your solution, either moving Michael Lorenzen to the bullpen, or Noah Cameron goes back down until there's another opportunity, and he's an unbelievable insurance policy for you to have for this year, and obviously makes you feel good about the pitching development and him moving into 2026.
It just depends on whether or not you're willing to do something radical in the middle of a year in which you're doing something well. The common move, I think the logical, everyday, where a normal functioning baseball organization move is, you send Noah Cameron down, you let Michael Lorenzen make a few more starts. If he stumbles, it's Noah Cameron's job moving forward. Michael Lorenzen goes to the bullpen, and you handle this like normal pros. No other thing needs to be said. You're going to start Lugo, you're going to start Waka, you're going to start Reagan, and you're going to start Bubich. So it's really just down to those two guys. The radical move is what reportedly 2 days ago, the Mariners were at least internally kicking around, which is the 6-man rotation. Is that a good idea? It's radical. In a lot of ways, I'd rather go into a year operating that way than in the middle of the season. We have too many good arms. Why don't we see what we can do?
Dodgers have done that only because they had a ton of injuries. The Dodgers have a ridiculous amount of pitchers on the IL right now, and so they've kind of operated in that fashion.
Yeah, but that's not like they're not operating under a 6-man rotation. This is a completely different problem. This is we're good. Yeah. Let's do it. Look, the Mariners are kicking it around, but they've also openly pretty much admitted that it's unlikely as well because it changes everything about how your pitchers are used to working. They do the same. I'm not kidding. They do the same thing every day. They pitch, and then the day after they pitch, they ice, and then the day after that, they throw a live for 15 pitches, and the day after that, they do these certain stretches and get their armbands out. Whatever it is, they have a designated, predetermined, completely designed routine around pitching every 5 days. So if you were ever going to consider that, I think it'd have to be by unanimous vote, Survivor style. I don't care if it's like secret ballot into a coconut or whatever the hell bowl. What do they do on Survivor? I've never seen that show. What do they put the votes into?
The ballot
like
box?
A bowl? Ballot box? Oh, it's just like a regular ballot box?
No, it's not. I don't know what they call it on the show.
I said coconut. That was a
it's I don't know. Bamboo thing. I don't know.
Because that's outside the box thinking. The only two normal baseball things are that or trade somebody. But we just talked about this with Jack Caglianone and other needs in the offense. You can say, okay, you know what we're actually going to do to get Noah Cameron in today? We're going to trade Lugo. No, you're not. Noah Cameron's going to go to the minors for a month.
Too early. Yeah.
And then you can look at that. Or Noah Cameron's going to go to minors for a month, and then you can talk about Lorenzen. Or then you can, you can't do anything now other than send Noah Cameron down, put Michael Lorenzen in the bullpen, or do a 6-man rotation.
Yeah, I think the trade stuff is simpler if this was June 29th right now, but it's May 29th. And so, some of this will get sorted out later on in June and July if you're willing to trade one of these pitchers. I also think Michael Lorenzen's performance could dictate this. Does he bounce back after a bad outing or so and look like he did earlier, which was great for a 5th starter? Or is he struggle and you feel like, okay, well, we're going to move him to the bullpen and he'll be a big asset for us in the bullpen, still gives us flexibility to trade him, and then Noah Cameron can be our 5th starter moving forward. But most
you
likely
can definitely
also
slow Cole Reagans down if you want.
He might need a rehab start anyway, so they may not have to make this decision for another week, too. I know he's on the track, but maybe they say, hey, you've had this groin injury at Cole Reagans twice already this year. Let's be very careful. We've got a long season, all that. That could be part of it that buys him some time till things sort out. And there's the reality that over the next 2 months even, all 5 guys in the rotation are probably not staying healthy. They were so lucky last year with that. We've already seen Lugo and Reagans. Yeah, so there's a good chance that some of this sorts itself out. And by no fault of his own because his production's been great. Noah Cameron, yeah, I mean, right this second, if I had to guess, I would assume that he will go back down to AAA when Reagans and Lugo are both available again in the rotation.
I'm just aside from it's a very difficult decision for how to handle Noah Cameron because they're kind of tough, put in a tough spot. How incredible has he been? I mean,
great story.
Seth Lugo and Cole Reagans got hurt at identical times. They've gone 5-5 during that stretch, which I, by the way, would have considered a win after you lost your number 1 and number 2 starters for a 2-week time period. I would have taken 5-5. Noah Cameron steps in with a 1.05 ERA, 25 2/3. He's gone 6 1/3, 6 1/3, 6 1/3, and 6 2/3. I guess I think in the 4 starts, maybe it's 6 2/3 twice. He's allowing almost no hits at all. He's keeping the walks down-ish. And yeah, the strikeouts, those probably aren't coming in waves at any particular point, but who cares? Someone's like, he just looks like Chris Bubich again. Yeah. Like they've figured out the lefty, let's get some outs part of the situation because those two guys together right now have been dangerous. It's been incredible to watch Noah Cameron. This is another one of those, like, talk about feeling better about the pitching development. This is the thing I watched, like teams like the Twins in the 90s and the early 2000s when I watched baseball. I'd be like, who's this guy? Come up here and carve people up for a couple of months. You'd be like, I've never even heard of this person. That wasn't even their top-ranked prospect, and somehow he's just coming up and dicing people up. And you know, like, so, like, for them to be able to, like, bring up Noah Cameron and have that kind of success, it says a lot about the organization and him.
913-586-7965. That's the Jays Southland Tow Service text line. Someone said, could Noah Cameron earn the Royals a comp pick? This should be considered. I assume, are you
finish his top 3 in rookie of the year?
Yeah, and look, he would have to seriously keep this up. Right now, Jacob Wilson is now minus 340.
He hit another homer. He's really good.
And you can't even bet on Noah Cameron on FanDuel right now. Like, they don't list him. Like, he's not even bettable. I can name you a bunch of guys some that are not even in the big leagues yet that are still, like, Jack Caglianone is now 35-1. He was 40-1 like 2 days ago.
He hasn't even gotten to the big leagues yet. I think he's going to get there sooner.
Christian Campbell, one of the top prospects for the Red Sox, 35-1.
I don't even see him on any of the lists. Yeah,
Nick Kurtz of the A's, who's already up 35. Jackson Jobe, who's already up with the Tigers, 55-1. Point being is, like,
if he made 3 more starts like this and had this kind of ERA, he would be on the board.
Oh, for sure. What's weird, Cody? He was on the board a week ago. I don't know why he's not on the board right now for FanDuel. It's really he was on the board a week ago.
What was it, like 100-1, 200-1?
Yeah, he was in the same category as some of these names that are not even in the big leagues yet as well. So I don't know, man. I don't think that's something you have to worry about. As great as he's pitching, he's not going to win Rookie of the Year. He should, name recognition, he's not going to. And it doesn't have the issue even for Jack Caglianone. We said the Rookie of the Year thing shouldn't be much of the consideration anymore because unless you're calling him up this weekend or next week, Caglianone's going to be too far behind Jacob Wilson to win Rookie of the Year. Jacob Wilson is doing ridiculous things.
He's already played 53 games.
And he's minus 340 already to win the award.
It's a little bit like betting, like we talked about this. The AL MVP is already over. Aaron Judge is like minus 10,000 or something to win AL.
It's insane. Minus 8,000 now.
So it's not that bad for Jacob Wilson. But I'll be honest, if you're betting on somebody not named Jacob Wilson to win American League Rookie of the Year, you are banking on the fact that he will be unable to complete his season.
Yeah, he's got to get hurt.
Like, that's it. That's all you're banking on. He's played 53 games. He's hitting .353 with a near 400 on-base percentage. Like, good luck. Yeah. Passing those numbers. Even if he goes ice cold, dude, he's still going to hit 300.
Yeah, whether you're talking about Cags or any other rookie that eventually gets called up or is already in the big leagues and play, they could all play great. Jacob Wilson's got a hell of a head start on you. That's the problem. And then you just run into sheer number of games, which is why yesterday when we were talking about Cags, and yes, you would love to finish top 3 because I think even third gets you an international pick if I'm not mistaken. That maybe I guess could be in play. But winning Rookie of the Year, unless you get called up like now, you just aren't going to have enough games to play catch up. And barring an injury to, as you said, Jacob Wilson, who continues to be a stud there for the A's. And I also think this is not something voters will weigh, I guess, as much, but doesn't hurt the ballpark Jacob Wilson is playing in. He's literally playing in a minor league ballpark for his home games because the A's are a joke of a franchise.
Do they have like official confirmation of their stadium there?
Well, they're still trying to get it figured out in Vegas as well. Everybody's trying to get stadium.
I thought they blew up the
out.
Tropicana for that.
Well, the Tropicana definitely is gone.
They blew that up, right?
That is gone. Yep. That hotel does not exist anymore.
Okay. I thought that's where they were going to go. And then people didn't want it there, and I don't know. Everybody, you're right. If you think the Royals are alone, Just search any city that is currently going through. You know how many times Chicago's announced like 8 different plans for whatever the hell they want to do? Like 5 years ago, that was the time to get a stadium built. Today, it's way harder. Also, I want the Royals to have a hitter-friendly park. That's what I want.
Yeah.
I don't want Kaufman dimensions anymore.
I agree.
I don't want Reds dimensions or Yankees dimensions.
Sure.
I want neutral. Ballpark
normal,
neutral.
like just completely normal, average.
Yeah, average. Totally normal.
From a dimension standpoint. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't,
Yeah. Did you see the other news real quick, though, because we were talking about Cags there for a second. We're going to talk to J.J. Cooper from Baseball America here in about 10 minutes or so.
Can I ask about David Shields, a player that all of a sudden I'm
Sure.
incredibly intrigued by?
I asked
even though
about
he's
Noah
18 years
Cameron as
old?
well. I was just going to say, I saw Rich Hill got reassigned from Arizona.
Oh, AAA?
To AAA. I think
they desperately
when I
need
checked the projections for Friday and Saturday, Dusty and I are going up to Omaha to watch Cags. I think there's a chance that Rich Hill, a.k.a. Dick Mountain, that is his nickname. That is his real nickname, that he might pitch on Friday. So we could have Cags and a little Rich Hill action.
What a trip for you.
Yeah.
You might get both, huh? What a weekend up in Omaha.
And we were, I'm not going to do this because, my past history is not great in this area. But on Twitter yesterday, I tweeted that we were going to Omaha.
Yeah.
And the Storm Chasers responded back and said, are you coming to Warner Park this weekend? I said, yeah, Friday and Saturday. They go, well, your arm's good to go? They then DM'd us, and they offered Dusty and I the opportunity to both throw out the first pitch Saturday.
So you're the first pitch?
I am not.
Why? You coward.
Sure, that's fine. I mean, look, peer pressure doesn't get to me. Yeah, we're long past the peer pressure thing getting to me.
You could practice for a whole, you practice all night.
Yeah, at least this time I would have a head start. No, I said, look, I would, if they would let me, just Dusty and I do what like Rob and CDOT did, where one of them, is throwing the baseball, one is catching. And they have a mascot that does that already. And then I said, well, I can be the mascot. They said, no, that's not allowed. So Dusty's going to throw out the first pitch Saturday in Omaha. And for everybody's sake, hopefully Cags is not catching. Okay.
Don't you want to have, like most people, a redemption arc?
I don't need that.
The only first pitch on record for you
is in Boise, Idaho, at a Rockies. They're not affiliated anymore. Boise Hawks game, which was the Rockies like rookie team or A-ball. I don't remember which one it was. And they're like guys like Chris Bryant have come through their organization in the past and stuff. But anyway, and I found out 10 minutes before, and I had been drinking, and it was a surprise because I was leaving Boise.
Like, now this would be different.
I would have time. I haven't thrown a baseball since that first pitch.
But you could,
and that was in 2017.
Really?
You and Drew could go out with the glove.
I don't just go throw the baseball to myself, Drew, in my apartment. Where am I going to go throw?
You go to a park. Well, where am I going to? You have kids. You have kids. I would have brought a glove today if you wanted to get some. I'll bring a glove tomorrow. We get some tosses in before the game.
I would need some practice. I already said no, though. But we were both offered, and it'll be interesting. I'll get some video of Dusty. But no, the video of me throwing the first pitch lives on social media forever. I don't need another one of those.
But what if it goes good?
Back then,
you could be like,
the video quality was good, but it's even better now. I don't need a real crystal clear 4K version of the first pitch. Oh. And by the way, my first pitch, I will say, not great, not 50 Cent bad, though. Let me be very clear. It wasn't great. And the worst part of the first pitch in Boise was there was two of us throwing out the first pitch. There was some lady was before me to throw it out, and she brought her glove, and she fired that thing right down the middle.
Whipped
perfect.
It, huh?
And I knew I was screwed in that moment.
That's not a good feeling.
I was completely screwed. Yeah.
A lot of pressure on once they fire it.
So, yeah.
I've never thrown out a first pitch.
I think this will be Dusty's second one in the last calendar year. He threw one out at Kaufman, didn't he, last year?
Yeah, I did one for Fan Day at the K last year.
So that'll be Saturday. I'll make sure we get video of it.
I've never been asked. I've been barred, maybe even. Hard to say. Maybe due to my lack of hot dog.
0-4 hot dog derbies
I'd race
for
hot
you.
dog again.
Yeah, see, Cody, to me, you get one chance to do something like this.
No.
I did one hot dog derby, I won.
Life is about second chances, third chances, sometimes fifth or sixth chances. In my case,
race, yes.
I did one hot dog derby, and I won. I'm never doing it again. I did one potato race in Boise at their minor league game. I won. I'm never doing it again.
Pitch?
One first pitch, I'm done. You get one shot at these kind of things.
Let
other people do it,
I view life as a series of opportunities and a chance to
Someone says, good Lord, Gold, I'm 61 and I can throw a first pitch. Oh, it is that I just haven't thrown a baseball, and so if I just went in there,
so I'd probably be pretty rusty. I would get some reps in if you were going to do it.
I bet you. I guarantee you, and maybe he won't admit it. I guarantee you, Dusty has been practicing ever since we found out last night.
I would.
I bet you
he's
been practicing.
If I knew I was on the first pitch, I'm going to make some tosses.
I bet you he's been practicing since last night.
Even if you go to the park all by yourself and you're just throwing up against a fence, just pick a target and just throw.
Put me in a hot dog derby. Oh, gosh. You're listening. Put me in a hot dog derby, and if I win, I'd like the honor to throw out one first pitch. But only if I win. I only earn that honor by actually finally winning a hot dog derby race. They do them every night. They got plenty of hot dog derby races. Certainly I can get in one.
You would think.
Someone says Dusty's going to be mad at you, Gold. He's going to announce this tomorrow on his show. Well, okay. I mean, we both got the message. Sorry. I mean,
Also, I just assumed he already
I assume he
on the
already
air.
mentioned it. Different audience, you know? Some of you are the same, different audience. He can still make his announcement.
Anybody
tomorrow.
going to boo Dusty like he was booing people at karaoke?
No, I got booed
See
after.
how it feels.
I got booed after my first pitch. That was
that first pitch.
Of course.
That's tough.
My friends,
Loud boos?
a bunch of friends were there, so they were all good. The people that were recording me throwing out the first pitch. So yeah, there's definitely boos in the background.
That's tough. That's tough. You had a chance at redemption. That's all.
Someone says Drew believes he's a tour golfer. Gold can't throw a first pitch. The dichotomy there is unbelievable. Yeah, fair enough. All right, let's talk to someone that definitely knows some analyzation of baseball and what to look
Should
for.
have had him break down your first pitch before he came
Yeah,
on.
JJ Cooper from Baseball America is going to join us to talk Cags, Noah Cameron, and a little bit about the Royals minor league system next.
This is Cody and Gold on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5, The Fan, brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Look, I might not be throwing out the first pitch, but baseball season, of course, is in full swing, and that means the summer heat, it's on its way. The guys at Climate Control have been serving KC homeowners for over 35 years, and they know how to get your cooling system ready to handle our scorching hot summer weather. You want to stay cool and comfortable this summer? Call Climate Control today at 816-265-2830. That's 816-265-2830 and schedule your AC system tune-up for just $59. Don't wait. Visit climatecontrolkc.com today. Climate Control, heating, cooling, and plumbing.
Hey there, Royals fans. It's Royals Hall of Famer Mike Sweeney. Have you or your kids experienced a high school coach who wants to make our Kansas City community a better place to live, work, and play? The Royals and the See You in the Major Leagues Foundation, together with Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City, are shining a spotlight on 6 impactful coaches in the KC metro area. Nominate a high school coach today at royals.com/coaches with character.
It's the spring sales event at Rob Sight Ford, and I'm here with the man himself, Rob Sight. Rob, you already stole the spotlight. Now what are you trying to take?
Just your attention, Kevin, and maybe a few trade-ins. Now, we've got up to $14,000 off new Fords with employee pricing, plus our own dealer discount.
$14,000. That's hotter than your Sunday barbecue.
Exactly. And unlike your burgers, these deals won't dry out. We've got hard-to-find inventory, huge trade-in values, and our non-commissioned sales team makes everything so easy.
No pressure, just real help. Even I'll admit it, it's the best place in Kansas City to buy a car, and I don't hand out compliments lightly, or seconds.
That's a fact. And don't forget, we're Kansas City's top-rated Ford dealer on Google. 4.8 stars, nearly 3,000 reviews, and 0 grill marks.
All right, Rob, I'll give it to you, man. You're cooking up some real value over there.
Come see us at 135th and State Line or visit robsight.com. But hurry, these deals are sizzling and inventory is moving fast.
And tell him Rob sent you. No guarantees, but he might throw in a hot dog.
Paid for client portrayal and endorsement. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results, and every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
After my car wreck, there was a lot I didn't know.
I do know. My team knows injury law. We can help you understand all of your legal rights so that you don't get cheated.
DM Law knew what to do and got me $150,000.
Mike's got this. If you've been hurt in a car wreck, call me. I've got this.
816-888-7500. Mike's got this.
Men, here's the truth. In the bedroom, good enough isn't really good enough, is it? This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health. And if your erectile dysfunction is making intimacy less enjoyable for you and your partner, give us a call today. Because whether your ED only happens sometimes or all the time, it's time to stop good enough and time to start really good. At Heartland Men's Health, we're experts in treating ED. Whether it's only mild or moderate, or even if it's severe, our treatments have success rates of well over 90%. And because we have a variety of treatments and can even combine protocols, we can likely get you performing like you haven't in a long time. You could even even last up to an hour or more and make sex great again for you and your partner. So make an appointment and be done with good enough. Your initial visit is just $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600. That's 844-447-6600. Or go to heartlandmenshealth.com. We have 3 offices to serve you.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like to check the GPS directions first, before driving to the mall.
Turn right at the light. In 1,000 miles, you will reach Montreal.
Not Montreal, the mall.
Recalculating. 6,000 miles to Nepal.
No, the mall.
Checking first is smart.
Recalculating.
So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
At Straight Talk, we are all about no-brainers. Calling Grandma for her recipe, no-brainer. Streaming one more episode at 2 a.m., big no-brainer. Getting real unlimited data where you buy bananas, the ultimate no-brainer. Switch now and get a free Samsung Galaxy A16 5G or Moto G Power 5G 2025 with select plans. Straight Talk, real unlimited data. Available at Walmart and straighttalk.com. Offer valid through 7/2025. Taxes and fees apply. Requires in-store activation of single line gold unlimited plan or higher. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com/terms. Copyright 2025 Verizon.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios.
All right, back here on Cody and Gold. Alex Gold, Cody Tapp, Drew Nixon with you. We'll get to the random question of the day here in about 12 minutes or so, but we want to keep talking about the Royals, but taking a look at the farm system a little bit, and obviously the name that everybody continues to talk about really on a daily basis now until he gets called up, whether that's in a week or two or it's going to be 2 months from now, whatever it is. Jack Caglianone, of course. And to talk more about him, we welcome in J.J. Cooper, the editor-in-chief over at Baseball America. They've been covering baseball for well over 40 years. And J.J., we appreciate you coming on the show. Jack Caglianone, I mean, truly, he is now a daily conversation here in Kansas City. How close do you think we are, for starters, to seeing him get to the big leagues?
I would say it feels pretty close now, right? He's in AAA, and more importantly, he's doing everything he's doing, especially offensively, to where I want to credit, it wasn't me, it was someone else on our staff. Mark Fiorelli was talking to a scout who doesn't work for the Royals a couple of weeks ago. And that scout's prediction was, he said, I'm not going to tell you that Jack Caglianone may not struggle in the big leagues. But this scout's belief was, he said, but I don't think he's going to struggle until he reaches the big leagues. With that being the case, there's probably not that much, at least offensively, that AAA can teach him, right? He's going to succeed in AAA. He's going to mash. He's going to hit for power. The few things that are kind of the to-do work, the to-do items, the things he needs to work on are probably things that, okay, sliders, from lefties, change-ups from righties. In the big leagues is probably where he's going to get that lesson. And it probably isn't going to be taught to him in AAA, so that doesn't hold him back from coming to the majors. He has power that could help the Royals right now. The real question just becomes, and I think a legitimate reason maybe to hold him back in AAA for a little while here is if you're planning on him playing in the outfield, he doesn't have a whole lot of games out there. He's not going to be great at it even in the long term probably, but you want him to be comfortable with it, and maybe a few more games in AAA will help with that.
Some of this is Royals guy's been around forever. Rusty Kuntz is actually down in AAA, specifically working with him on the outfield. We take that as a sign of, okay, time for the crash course, kid. We're going to figure out a way to make this work. How quickly can you expedite that process with specialized training, we'll say, in the outfield?
Well, the thing that I watched, because I love watching Jack also, I've watched every play, every time he's touched the ball in the outfield this year, which is only 36, 37 plays, right? And, okay, I should have probably sorted a little bit more so I didn't watch every ground ball that got through the infield that he then scooped up and threw in. The thing that does stand out about this is even for a guy who doesn't have a whole lot of experience out there, he doesn't look horrible, right? He catches the ball a little weird where he likes to kind of catch it almost like a wide receiver sometimes, where he's kind of catching it over his right shoulder, even on balls he doesn't seem like he needs to. But there's not anything that's happened so far where it's glaring or, oh, he looks really lost out there. The worst play that I can kind of cite is a ball to the wall that really was the center fielder's play, but Jack kind of came too close. Rather than staying back a little bit, he came up to the wall, and so when the ball hit high off the wall, it rolled right past him for a triple that if he'd have kind of hung back a little bit knowing it was the center fielder's play, maybe he could have kept that at a double. That's nitpicking, though. There isn't really something where you say, oh, this guy clearly has no clue what he's doing out there. His routes will get better. His reads will get better. But there also are just limitations to him. He's not particularly fast. And the interesting thing that we haven't seen so far, obviously he was a two-way player who also pitched in college. So far, you're not seeing a cannon of an arm out there in the outfield. He hasn't really had a whole lot of opportunities, but I don't see right now, he had some arm injuries last year at the end of the year when he was at Florida. I'm not seeing 95 plus like you saw coming off the mound with him. So maybe that'll be another thing to watch. But can he be a passable corner outfielder? Yeah, I think that's very plausible. Now, I can't think of a tougher place to do that than in Kansas City because obviously the outfield's bigger than almost anywhere. But especially when the Royals are on the road, can he be playable in a smaller right field? Oh yeah. It looks like that's not going to be beyond him in any way.
We're talking to J.J. Cooper of Baseball America. The question we get asked all the time, people will cite recent examples of other teams' prospects that were just drafted a year ago, let's say, that are already up. Can you explain for our listeners why each case is different for obvious reasons, but somebody saw that the kid from the Rangers just got called up after only a couple games in AAA, or people will look at a Nick Kurtz, for example, for the A's. What is the difference? Is it organizational philosophy? Is it just where the organization is at the big league level? What goes into that? Because I think some people just simply look at, hey, that guy got drafted last year too. He's already up in the big leagues. What are they waiting for?
I mean, I think you kind of have to look at each situation kind of a little bit uniquely, right? Some of these times where guys have been pushed really fast, they haven't. Nick Kurtz has not really had a great start to his big league career.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be very good, but he's now on the IL. But he's struggled a little bit. Cam Smith, to his credit, kind of I would say is holding his own for the Astros, who was another draftee from last year. But at the same time, Jack's not behind right now, right? Travis Bazzana went 1-1, and I know he's on the IL right now also, but he wasn't he's not in the big leagues. Like Charlie Condon, who was the other kind of big power hitter, SEC power hitter in the top 10 picks, he's in high A. Like, Jack's not behind right now. I know that the timetables have sped up, but Jack's on a pretty fast timetable right here. Like, I get it. Like, if I was a Royals fan and I'm looking at the outfield and I haven't checked in 2 days, but last time I checked, I think Kyle Isbell had 3 home runs to lead all, maybe it's 4 to lead all Royals outfielders. I get it. Where there's a clamoring of like, Jack could do that in a week, right? Where it's like he could provide more power in a week than we've gotten in the first 2 months from any outfielder. I get that, but at the same time, this does seem like a logical plan, right? We're talking about a guy who's a 2A player in college who was sent to AA, which is a very aggressive but appropriate assignment. He dominated AA. They also wanted him to get comfortable, so they let him play more first base early. And then as he got comfortable and showed he was having no problems adjusting to AA, they started to work him into the outfield more too. Now in AAA, he's going to be working more in the outfield. He's already made a promotion. And we're still sitting where, as we're talking about this, it's still May, right? Like, at this time last year, Jack was getting ready to play his biggest games of his college career, or some of the biggest, because it's Florida, so they've had a number of. But he was getting ready to go to Omaha, and he wasn't going to get to Omaha for a while still at this time last year. This is a speedy ascent, and this has him knocking on the door at a time where there are absolutely contemporaries of his from last year's draft who are not going to reach the majors this year.
I want to ask you about a couple of other players here in just a second, but since we've asked the general manager and a couple of other people, might as well ask you, who's your major league comp? Like when you see Jack Caglianone, who does he remind you of at the big league level?
See, okay. You're really kind of looking, I always struggle with comps, right? Because my problem with comps is I can always see all the reasons that they're not comparable to that. But what you're looking for here is, it's lefty with some of the biggest power in the game, right? Like, and this is where lefty righty gets all difficult. If you said, a good scenario for him, and again, I know everyone's seen, in lefty righty, all this, but Giancarlo Stanton in his prime had the best pure raw power of anyone in the game. And there was some swing and miss, and he was not going to hit 300 for you, but he would draw some walks, and he could lead the majors in homers. That's kind of what Jack could be, right? Like, I know he's hitting 325, 320 for his minor league career. I still don't talk to anyone who expects that that's what he's going to be long term. If he hits 250, 260 and draws walks, he's going to be an excellent big leaguer. And he does have enough chase to his game, enough aggressiveness to his game, enough ability to still make contact a lot of times doing that. But it's more likely that he's going to be a power hitter with an okay average rather than this all-around, extremely well-rounded batting title and home run champ type guy.
Yeah,
which obviously doesn't happen very often.
No question. It's fun to get everybody's different perspective on the comps because everybody loves comps. The one that has come up here with even the general manager himself, JJ Picollo, was Pete Alonso. So now we've got a couple other names that have been thrown out.
Yeah, it makes a whole lot of sense in a lot of ways also, though, because they both played in Florida, too, right?
Yeah.
And the same high school.
The two best sluggers to come out of, the Gators program. So there's 100% that makes a lot of sense.
When you look at the rest of the Royal system, we wanted to ask you quickly about Noah Cameron, who is still technically a prospect in the Royal system until, I don't know, however many games he's got to reach in order to do that. Did you see this kind of performance coming out of Noah Cameron? And I guess, how's it translating now in the big leagues? Normally we talk about big strikeout guys, which he hasn't been, but, the results are definitely there.
We're working on an update on all of our top 30s for next week. He will be moving up. I will tell you that right now. No, we liked him. I thought he could start in the big leagues. No, this has been better than we expected. To his credit, to the Royals' credit, this is better than what we were expecting out of Noah Cameron. And, you'll ride it, right? Like, if he's 85% of this for his career, then he's going to be a really solid long-term big leaguer, right? He's been that good. And I would say, again, I would say there probably is going to be a little bit of regression. I don't want, but at the same time, he could not be at the level he's been. His hitters adjust him a little bit more, and he's still going to be quite good. So this is a guy. The Royals over the last couple of years have really shown that they've shown some knack, some ability to help pitchers kind of maximize themselves as starters, right? A lot of these examples have been free agents that they brought in, but I would say that to their credit and trade acquisitions, like Paul Reagan's got better as a Royal. You can say that for a number of these kind of veteran free agents they brought in as well. To Noah Cameron, the Royals' credit, that's also true of Noah Cameron. This is a prospect who that's kind of true with too.
On the hitting side, how do people in the industry view the Royals in terms of hitting development? And obviously right now, the big league level, they're one of the worst offenses in baseball. But just when you look at how they've developed guys recently.
There have been less success stories to hang a hat on, I would say, on the hitting side. The big one coming up is you see what Blake Mitchell does, right? Jack obviously Jack looks to be the Royals' best hitting development success story in quite a while, right? But again, you got to get back. We liked Michael Garcia. We probably should have liked him more. That's a success story. That's one that absolutely the Royals should point to and say, hey, this is a solid big league regular that we've developed. Blake Mitchell, has had some injury issues and all, but that's a guy who has a chance to. It's a system's pretty deep in catchers right now, but at the same time, guys like Gavin Cross, there have also been guys who've been relatively premium picks who haven't, kind of produced at the level that you're hoping for top 10, top 15 type picks. So I would say that it's been more success stories on the pitching side than on the hitting side, but at the same time, I want to see what Blake Mitchell's going to do if he can have, get a full season where he's healthy and kind of gets a chance to match like he can and continue to develop behind the plate.
JJ Cooper, editor-in-chief over at Baseball America, at Baseball America on Twitter and X. Really appreciate the time and the insight.
Thank you.
Absolutely good stuff there from JJ Cooper. We got another comp.
So far we have Giancarlo Stanton, Shohei Ohtani, and Pete Alonso. My God.
Reminder.
If he ends up being any of those three guys, I'll be thrilled.
I made sure to transition when because your guys' face were evident. I transitioned quickly so you guys and your smiles could be shown.
Look, comps are comps. They're not guarantees and all that. We all know that.
Sure.
They're fun, though. They're a lot of fun, and everybody's been in the same wheelhouse, though, in terms of if that's anywhere what he's going to be, it's going to be great.
Who's the person you remember hitting the ball the furthest?
And Stanton, he won an MVP, just saying. He won an MVP once in his career. In his prime, when he was 27, 28.
He also has 450 probably, without even looking, I'm guessing he's got between 400 and 450 career home runs.
Prime Giancarlo Stanton sounds nice.
I think
Again, I'll take any of the three comps. If he turns into any of those players, honestly, I'll take 80% probably of any of those comps if that's what his career ends up being.
No doubt. Now, at the end, though, we were asking just about the development side. It goes back to when we were discussing Noah Cameron. Just pitching-wise, people are clearly noticing what they've been able to do developing pitchers, specifically even free agent pitchers, and getting the most out of them, but also the acknowledgement on the hitting side. There's a couple success stories there. Yeah, he says the one to really follow is Blake Mitchell. He said, obviously, Cags is the guy that's coming up, but Blake Mitchell over the next couple of years is the one to fall. The development of him will tell us a lot about where they're at as an organization in terms of continuing.
And we know that he, because again, for catcher, if you actually get a catcher up in the big leagues who can hit, you're having a very different conversation. As a reminder, Blake Mitchell was hurt for the early portion of this season. He's been playing in rookie ball the last couple of days before presumably he'll go back to AA or whatever once he's done there. And in rookie ball, he's having no problems. He was hurt to start the year. He's played 4 games over there. He's hitting 400 or whatever nonsense. But we'll see. Last year, an entire year of A-ball, he played 111 games between high and low A and hit 232 only, but a 368 on base percentage and real power, 18 homers.
I'll be interested to see when Baseball America comes out. It sounds like from J.J. Cooper their updated top 30. How high does Noah Cameron move up?
He's already at 5 on MLB Pipeline. So I guess
5 in the Royals organization.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, where does he go in the overalls? But yes, yeah. And then, of course, Jack Caglianone on MLB Pipeline was 10th in baseball, 1st in the Royals organization. So seeing these updated lists here in the next week or two will be really interesting to see how much higher does Cags go, and how much higher does Noah Cameron go in the overall list.
It's kind of hard not to think Noah Cameron deserves to be one of the top 3 prospects for the Royals right now. Again, and some of them are
Mitchell's 2, right? I think. At this point.
And look, I get it. There's no point in this show spending 20 minutes talking about David Shields, an 18-year-old who is
he may not be up till 2029 or something. You know what I mean?
Honestly, but why can't I just want him to be like David Price? Why can't he be the 20-year-old who gets into the big leagues because there's nothing holding him back.
You have to be another David? You have to comp him to another David? Is that what you just did there? Did you have to comp him to another David?
He was just one of the pitchers I remember getting to the big leagues really fast and super young. Like Yordano Ventura. Like 18 years old. If you're getting to that level, we're just having a slightly different conversation.
Random question.
For those asking, by the way, Shields has made 3 starts with a .69 ERA and his bump up to A-ball from rookie ball.
Good. Yeah.
Not bad. For you, Gold. For you, Drew, on the text line, 913-586-7965. Of course, you can hit us up on the YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook stream as well. Live stream the show. Subscribe over on YouTube or Twitch. Pop to the top of your feed. That way you know when we're going live, which is, again, every day 10 to 2. And the other 2 shows as well, 6 to 10 and 2 to 6. Question every day is about summer. It's the last day of school for my kids. Today.
Finally.
I know, man. Honestly, they didn't get these snow days forgiven, and I kind of thought the teachers should. Point is, my kids had a half day today. They are officially done for summer until they start summer school. So that's the question I actually have for you today. I want to know how you would handle your kids' summer compared to how yours used to be handled. 913-586-7965. So how was your summer handled as a kid? And how would you do it different or the same as your summers? Mine were pretty simple. My parents bought one kid a Worlds of Fun pass, and we would rub stamps and just go, parentless there. Or we lived at the Grace Moore pool. That was my summer.
Parentless at a theme park?
Parentless
got dropped off at Worlds of Fun?
Oh, yeah. Parentless at a theme park or parentless at a pool. That was my entire summer. Probably not going to handle it that way with my kids. Admittedly, times have changed. That was the 90s. Things are different.
Agreed.
But also, I'll just be straight up. The amount it costs to send these, I'm not sending them to 8 camps either. We got to draw a line somewhere. Some of them are nuts. So my kids go to summer school. It's optional. It's mostly just for fun. But my kids will go to regular at their school summer school, or the Sage program's got their own summer school. My kids will just go to that. That's part of my plan. And then a couple of camps. You know?
For me, it was, I did a couple camps in the not out of town camps or anything, but in town type of sports camps and stuff like that. Actually at the J, believe it or not. And that's where I went. I went to the pool there. My grandparents were members there, so I would end up going there and going to the pool a lot of times when they would go. That was most of my summers is when I was little, at least.
What kind of camps did you do?
They do their camps, so they do sports camps. So they do over a bunch of, it's just summer long. They do a bunch of different camps.
There's dance. My kid was interested in the school of
It's usually
rock
not just basketball or whatever. It's just a variety of things, or they're just camps and you do a bunch, you do everything across the whole time, the whole summer.
Desmond's got a soccer camp that's a week, and Ruby's got a camp where she will do acting stuff at the Coterie. You got to lean into your kids' interests too, but they're $250 a pop for a week. Mm-hmm. Sometimes more, Drew.
Yeah.
Per one. I can't afford 3 months of camps. That's crazy.
Wasn't it just last year? And again, you're right, times have changed on this, but there was the whole story because people were using Worlds of Fun as daycare for their kids. They're just dropping their kids off, and it was causing all kinds of problems at Worlds of Fun.
I was an OG.
That was you back in the 90s. That was you.
OG in that department. Come on, dude. That was 20 years later. I can't possibly be.
You got to be over 15 or whatever it is, or over 17 now or something.
Dude, when I was a kid, they would buy one pass, and then we just rub stamps. Or I'd used to use my friend.
That was before the digital tickets.
Oh, dude, they didn't ever check it. For the longest time, when I got older and we wanted to go in the middle of the summer, I used my friend Billy Warden's. We did not look alike, but he just handed through the gate, and I'd walk up there, and they'd just let me in. I mean,
they said, what's this kid getting?
We did not look alike. So I just
the same person. The meme of them doing the security of the guy, the old guy. Just go on ahead.
Somebody
He's
said
sifting you down.
Just bike around town. We did a lot of that till the street lights came on. A lot of swimming too. Great times. Yep. Drew, what was yours? Did you do camps?
I did plenty of camps. I
did no camps. Zero. Played baseball. Played a lot of baseball.
Once high school came up, it was a lot of cross country season started 2 weeks after school ended. Our season started in the summertime. And also golf bled into the summertime as well because state golf is late June. So sports blended into the summertime, but a lot of it growing up was go outside, have, play basketball, pick up football, bike around, just do whatever. all day long, essentially, was the way that it was. Have some sleepovers, every now and then, but camp's definitely a part of
we didn't do any of
as
that.
well.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, I don't know, like how many of these camps...
I went
camps am I supposed to sign them
maybe
up for?
one camp or two. I think it was one. We had to pick.
Was it an overnight one, like a cabin one? Are those even real? Those feel like something that exists in a TV show. But I don't know anybody who actually went to like an overnight camp for a week. I don't know a single person in my entire life.
I don't know anybody
that
either. But people clearly did. Yeah, people clearly. Those are obviously very, very expensive.
We always would have like a week-long summer vacation too, where my dad would take time off, and we'd go. We drove everywhere, of course. So.
Yeah, we spent 2 weeks at the cabin every year.
We would drive, take a week or maybe even 2 weeks sometimes. We'd go to a bunch of different places. Of
Is
course,
this where the Outer Banks family beach spot got reserved that now 25 years later?
Technically, that one's been around for a very long time. The one I'm talking about is just June or something like that during the summertime, where we'd take a week and a half and we'd drive all the way out to L.A. and stop at a bunch of places and then circle up to Northern California and go across through Colorado, Wyoming, the Dakotas.
Long road trips in the Nixon family.
There'd be days where we hated it because it'd be a 9-10 hour drive, and it's
not even like fun. It's not even vacation at that point.
Agreed.
Oh, dude, I'm in a car. This sucks.
10-year-old me.
That was before tablets and
yeah, dude.
You actually had to talk to people on the drive. You know?
My parents drove overnight. Every time we go to Colorado for 2 weeks in the middle of the summer, we would drive overnight. My dad, we'd leave. He would sleep all during the day, and we'd leave at like midnight. So that we could try to just sleep in the car on the whole way out there. Then we'd wake up and we'd be in Colorado. It was great.
I don't know if you had these, Cody. We had these. It was like a game that you could play, like I Spy, basically, but on the road.
Oh, of course.
And you tried to play, and you tried to get like a row of 6 in a row of things that you saw, whether it's like a cow or a billboard,
license plate game. There's all that. I mean,
that was how
we kept our. I read.
Yeah, that was what we did until we got the big upgrade was a van with a DVD player. That was big because I think my parents very much so liked that because we could at least relax a little bit and not kill each other on the 9-hour day drives, which sucked. Yes, as a 10-year-old, it was terrible.
A couple of people are claiming that they're familiar, but they're saying those are also like thousands of dollars. So maybe that was it. Maybe the old Tapp family could not afford $1,000 to send one of us to a multi-day, week-long camp.
We never went to multi-day camps. Everything was.
Like the 2 camps my kids will go to, they'll go for a few hours in the middle of the day and then they'll come home.
The big camp for me at least for me in particular during high school, was we'd have cross-country camp where we'd go to essentially a park, like a state park, and we'd hang out we'd sleep in tents. And we'd have cross-country camp. We'd do 3 workouts a day, 2-3 workouts a day.
That sounds
play
miserable,
games.
by the way.
We always had a cornhole tournament. It was lit.
The cross-country camp sounds miserable to me.
I mean, just that sentence is pretty horrifying. Yeah. I don't want to go
sleep
to camp
in the tent
to
and
run.
Then wake up the next morning and go run 10 miles.
Yeah, your back just feels like it's on fire because you've just been laying on rocks all night.
Your back wasn't on fire when you were 12, though. Now, yes. Correct. When you were 12, your back wasn't on fire.
Now it'd be impossible.
Yeah. All right. Up next, 1 o'clock hour, we'll get you a little update on where things stand on the Royals front. They released a new statement yesterday in regards to the stadium conversation. Plus, we're bringing back the snitch line. It's been a bit. You can start sending those in. We'll remind you what the snitch line is. That's coming up next here on Cody and Gold.
This is Cody and Gold on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5, The Fan. Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
In the moments that matter most, you show up. You protect, you serve, you heal, you care. Now, let Reiselman Nissan show up for you with our Hero Appreciation Program. Kansas City's heroes get special discounts every single day. Choose from over 160 new Nissans with Kicks, Sentras, and Altimas starting as low as $399 a month because honoring you is our privilege. Visit ReiselmanNissan.com. Every customer, every time. Reiselman Nissan.
Not all vehicles may apply. See dealer or check ReiselmanNissan.com for all details.
At Shane Company, we know getting engaged is a big decision. But once you know, you know. That's the way our customers feel when they choose a Shane Company engagement ring. They walk into a warm welcome and walk out with their dream ring, knowing they got it right. For almost 100 years, we've been offering personalized shopping experiences. And we're in it way past the honeymoon, with a free lifetime warranty that includes the center stone, cleanings, repairs, and resizing for life. Shop with us at shaneco.com or at your neighborhood store. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Hello all, Steve here with Connolly Plumbing Solutions, your neighborhood plumber. It's springtime. Yay! This is when we start working in our yards. Be careful that your outside faucet didn't burst over the winter. Maybe you've discovered that it doesn't work very well. This month we are offering an outside faucet replacement special with access for only $3.99. So call Connolly Plumbing Solutions at 913-768-7676 or visit ConnollyPlumbingSolutions.com to schedule.
Hi there, I'm Charlie. And I'm Carter. Our dad is Rex with Rex Buys KC. If you're thinking about selling a home in Kansas City and don't know where to start, our dad can help. Sometimes life throws curveballs, like moving for a new job, dealing with a divorce, or inheriting a house you weren't expecting. Dad doesn't just make offers, he talks with people to help them understand all of their options. No pressure, and it doesn't cost anything to talk with his team. He's a local home buyer who really knows Kansas City. If selling to him is the right choice, he'll give you a fair cash offer, and you can close on your timeline even in as little as 7 days. He buys homes in any condition. No need for repairs, no fees, no surprises. Just an honest, easy process so you feel good about your decision. Want to talk to him? Call 816-330-6000 or go to rexbuyskc.com. Rex Buys KC, helping people make smart choices one home at a time.
Exercising and being outside are two things I love doing almost every day. I can't imagine joint pain slowing me down. The good news is, if you do have joint pain, I've got the answer for you. QC Kinetics has over 50,000 satisfied patients in less than a decade, and everyone is getting results with no drugs, no surgery, and no downtime at all. QC Kinetics has been on the cutting edge of regenerative medicine. They use natural treatments that harness your body's own healing power. Regenerative medicine used to be an alternative, and now it's mainstream. So if you love being outside and working out as much as I do, or you just love to play golf or tennis or doing everyday activities, and you don't want to live with that joint pain any longer, call my friends over at QC Kinetics. Don't let sore knees or elbows or shoulders or a back keep you from doing the things you love. Call QC Kinetics today, 816-412-6299, 816-412-6299. Off 435 in State Line and in Gladstone. It's QC Kinetics.
The NBA semifinals are here, and that means all the show-stopping action continues and even gets turned up a notch. Don't miss your chance to bet on all the legendary moments with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook app. Want to see if that guy's hitting is over consistently, or maybe they've been flirting with a potential triple-double. Get the latest stats right inside the FanDuel app. And once the game starts, that's when things really get interesting. You can combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. When you place your first $5 wager, all you need to do is visit FanDuel.com, use my promo code KFNZ to join today. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, and also 96.5 The Fan. 21 and President, Kansas. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued with nominal drawable bonus bet, which expires 7 days after restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under agreement Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Get up with your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or raise the KSGamblingHelp.com.
Thy ticket, Lady Jennifer of Coolidge.
Well, many thanks, good sir. Here'th my Discover card.
They accept Discover at Renaissance fairs?
Yeah, they do here. Discover is accepted at the places that I love to shop. Getteth with the times.
With the times? You're playing the lute.
Yeah, and it sounds pretty good, right?
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen Report.
During National Military Appreciation Month, we at University of Maryland Global Campus say thank you to the service members, veterans, and families who dedicate their lives to our country. We are deeply grateful. For over 75 years, UMGC has proudly served the military community, from installations overseas to the communities you call home. Wherever you serve, we stand with you. Learn more at umgc.edu/thanks. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chef.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply. I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
What's up, KC? This is Lucas Ursig on your way home from the ballpark. Make sure to listen to Vern's post-game show right here on 96.5 The Fan.
KFNC FM and AM, HD1 and HD2 Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station.
1 o'clock hour here on Cody and Gold. We'll get back into the stadium stuff when it comes to the Royals statement yesterday. Plus, we'll try to work in a snitch line today. But OTAs are underway, and you never know exactly when everybody's going to be speaking. But Andy Reid is actually speaking to the media right now. So we want to go back out to Arrowhead and hear from head coach Andy Reid here on 96.5 The Fan.
This voluntary camp. We've had great attendance throughout the phase 2 and phase 3 periods here. So we've got a couple people that are under the weather, so we were short a couple guys today, but that's for the most part it's been very good. And I'm not going to get into injuries and all of that bit, but I've been pleased with what I've seen from the guys and the effort they're giving forward. The young guys have been working their tail off, and we've been loading them up with stuff, and they've seemed to be able to retain it, which is a positive. So anyways, that's time's yours.
Because when you talk about it, that's going to be my question. What exactly are you looking for when you're out there, especially with the young players and new players in, talking about the information and the retention? Are you pleased with what you've seen so far?
Yeah, so some of it is a retention part of it. And then you get a chance to see skill. Now, normally they're kind of crawling before they walk and walk before they run. They're in that phase, so they're might not be as fast as what you're going to see once you get to camp and as you work your way through camp. But still, they're doing a nice job of it for the most part. Yeah.
Coach, earlier in the week, we were able to see Rashee. I guess just what were your impressions of what he's been able to do so far during this?
Yeah, he's actually one of the guys under the weather. So we've kept him at home here. So. But in phase 2, he was great. He just wasn't able to go this week, so we kept him away from the guys.
Coach, you mentioned throwing before. You throwing the young guys in there, just seeing how they respond. Do you throw as much at them as possible, or you kind of just build it up?
Yeah, we go.
All right, we'll get back out there. Got disconnected, it sounded like, with Andy Reid. Let's go back out to Arrowhead.
A little like camp where you're installing plays today, and then we ask them to go execute those plays. We try not to back up and go over the plays we installed yesterday. But at the same time, if you're not doing your stuff at home before you get into the install meetings and reviewing, then you're going to have a problem once you get out there. So it looks like these guys are taking, and there's a method to that madness, so they have to go home and develop some study habits with that. And they seem to be doing a good job of it.
A lot of moving pieces at wide receiver. What are you hoping to see out of a guy like Sky Moore before the pads come on in camp?
Sure. Yeah, just getting back in the swing of things, but he looks like he's doing a good job.
All right, we're having some issues, obviously, with our connection out there at Arrowhead, so we'll let you know. We'll expect to hear from Patrick Mahomes, also Xavier Worthy. We'll go back out there when they speak. If anything notable is said by Andy, don't worry, we'll mention that. Reminder, it is OTAs, right? We're very early on into the offseason and everything. But yeah, as far as Isaiah Pacheco goes, we talked about him a little bit yesterday and what we're expecting. I still think very obvious. We're not going to have the answer until training camp. But the number one question, of course, is just going to be the status of Josh Simmons and how much work that he does. And go ahead.
Quote on Josh Simmons. He's one that didn't work this week. He's further ahead than I thought he was. We've kept him out of the team stuff. He's done a good job with that. We've given him. We've just got to get him in here when he's going against a defense. So he's not going to do anything in this OTA practice. They can keep saying he's further ahead, but until he practices like a normal person.
Until he's out there on day one of training camp.
Yeah. That will actually be the genuine marker. Until then, it's just words, them saying he's behind. And what happens if a single setback occurs? What happens if a single, there's just so many things that can work against you in that scenario. But yeah, he's the biggest thing in the offseason because we want to know whether or not he can start. The other part, though, the safety net that we all know exists, is they have somebody who can start there. That was the whole point of bringing in Jalen Moore. They have a starting left tackle as of today, May 29th, if they had to play a football game. The real question is whether or not Simmons has a chance to really compete for the job, or will be physically able to compete for the job.
That's the question right
come
there,
August 1st, or whenever camp starts, late July.
Yeah, I think it's the physically, is he available to put himself in a spot where he can truly compete for the starting job? And that's what I don't think we deep down know. That's great to hear that they believe he's ahead of schedule. I hope that's exactly the case, right? And by the way, him not being out there with OTAs, he was never supposed to be ready by May 29th. So that doesn't mean that, oh my gosh, he's not. It's just we are not going to really know for sure whether he's ahead of schedule and all that until, is he out there at training camp when the pads are on, or even just the first day when it's not even a padded practice.
When they're just in shells.
What does that look like? Is he standing on the side watching holding a helmet? Is he working in with the twos?
Is he on the little bike on the side, just kind of getting loose?
All that stuff will give us a clue of where things are trending for him by the time we get to week 1 in Brazil when they play the Chargers.
I guess I'd love a follow-up on what is ahead of schedule? Like 2 weeks, 2 months, 6 months? Like what is he's further ahead of schedule?
What? Yeah. What was the original schedule?
Exactly.
That he was going to miss the whole year? That he was going to
miss 6 months? That he was going to miss 6? That he was going to be not ready by camp, but ready by week 1? 6 months, days, hours? Like, to which extent is really still kind of an unknown, other than, we just don't know which way it was.
Yeah, I saw some more quotes from those that are on the call that are there in person with the connection issues we're having. Said that you mentioned Andy Reid talking about being on a schedule. He also, I guess, said that he thinks Josh Simmons still should be ready for training camp.
Okay. And I hope so, honestly.
He was also asked, Andy was also asked about the schedule. Said, quote, "It's quite a tour, the 2025 schedule."
He hates it. Andy hates it.
I mean, you're opening up in Brazil.
Andy would love, if he got to just personally choose his schedule, they'd play every Sunday at noon for 17 straight games.
And remember, this is voluntary OTAs, so no need to panic when you see the headline that Travis Kelce wasn't there, or Rashee Rice, Trey Smith, Hollywood
I think
Brown.
mandatory is mid-June.
Voluntary OTAs. Rashee Rice is sick, so that's also. So he would have. It sounds like he would have been there if he was healthy, but nobody should be. Travis Kelce, voluntary OTAs. Yeah, go ahead and enjoy the rest of your summer. You know what I mean? I'm good.
I honestly don't want him there. Like, it's not even that I'm like disappointed. Like,
Trey Smith
don't
is obvious
want
because
him there.
He signed his franchise tag, but also, one, it's voluntary, and two, you're working on a franchise, or you're working on a long-term deal.
I'll see you in a few weeks. Let somebody else get some reps at right guard for a little bit.
All right, let's try a connection again. We believe we have Patrick Mahomes speaking live at Arrowhead.
The tone is set the tempo for these guys that are trying to learn the system, and even free agents that are trying to into the system.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's awesome to have the leadership that we have, and to have guys like Trav and Chris Jones who are still coming to OTAs and getting the work in. It kind of shows that the standard that we have here, and we've been doing it all throughout the spring. As guys are working hard, you can tell they're motivated to go out there and be even better this next year. So it starts here, and I think guys understand that.
Patrick, you're still months away from actually turning 30, but I do wonder if you're starting to have any sense of how long you've been around all of a sudden, and what what your view is from now back to when you first got started, how different it might feel physically and mentally.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, first off, kids, I feel like age you a little bit. So having 3 kids makes you grow up. But it's been a fun run, and we've had a lot of great players in this building, a lot of great people. And so it makes it enjoyable to come to work every single day. And I still got some guys with me that have been there the whole time. And then adding new guys gives you a new juice and a new spirit to go out there and be even better. And so a lot of young guys now, so just trying to relate to them as much as I can. But at the same time, I'm still not 30 yet. So I feel like I can for at least right now.
Patrick, a difference in your body at 29, though, from 20, 21, 22, and punishment of the NFL for all these years?
Not necessarily. I think more than anything, I have a better understanding of my body, so I know what I need to get in. I know the extra amount of recovery stuff I need to do, how to feel my best on a day-to-day basis. I mean, obviously, I probably bounced back a little bit quicker when I was younger, but at the same time, I have a better plan and a better standard that I kind of hold myself to on a day-to-day basis so I can be ready for every single practice.
Patrick, you mentioned the young guys. What's your approach to mentoring?
I always want to meet the person first, and so it's about getting to know the person and then seeing what I can do to help them get better and help them push forward, because it is hard. I mean, it starts OTAs, but going through training camp and going through a long NFL season is hard, and you want to the guys know that you care about them, so you care about them as a person first, and then you mentor them on the field by pushing them to be better every day.
Generally, how long does you feel like it takes for you to understand their individual personalities? Because everybody's different.
Yeah, I mean, once you get to St. Joe and you live in those dorms, you kind of start understanding each person more and more. And so, no, it's cool getting here at OTAs, being in the building, meeting the guys, and kind of building that relationship on the field. And then when you get to kind of training camp in the season, you really get to meet the person even more. And so that's why we always harp on it. But it is fun going to St. Joe and kind of meeting all the new teammates and new free agents that you have.
Andrew, what's your
Travis Kelce.
What's your biggest takeaway from in your focus and how you lock in from when you lose a Super Bowl versus when you win one? Because
yeah, I mean it's hard. I mean, I feel like I focus every year because I know how special a run that we're on, and how many years left I'll have with all these great players and a great team. Every team's different, and you don't want to miss an opportunity. But I mean, obviously, when you lose a Super Bowl, I think there's sometimes in those workouts where you may be a little tired. You have that extra added motivation to finish even harder, finish even stronger. And I mean, I think it'll be good for us at the end of the day. I mean, obviously, looking back, you want to win the game, but a lot of these guys hadn't ended the season on a loss that are on this team now. So I'm sure they'll be motivated to go back out there and try to find a way to get to the Super Bowl and win it this year.
Patrick, you mentioned Travis and him being here. I guess what's your sense of the shape he's in and the motivation to, like, if this is the last ride, to sort of make it count?
You know, I mean, if it's the last ride, you would never know. I mean, the way he's talking about football, the way he's talking about working and trying to be even better this year than he was last year. I mean, he's not. It doesn't seem like a guy that it's his last ride. Like he's tired of the job. I mean, he's in here, he's working, and I know his body feels good. I think it feels better than even last year before going into last season. Just because I think he's motivated to go out there and have an even better year than he had this last.
You're the ultimate sports fan, and I'm sure you grew up watching those Thanksgiving Day games with the Dallas Cowboys. What's it going to be like to play in one of those?
Yeah, it's gonna be special. I mean, I've wanted to play at Cowboy Stadium, obviously, just because I haven't got the opportunity to actually play in the game. We played my first year we were there. I was at the game, but I didn't get to play. And I'm growing up watching those games, going to those games was a special experience with me and my family. So I'm excited to get everybody there, and then to play on Thanksgiving. I mean, you're Thanksgiving in Texas, you're watching the Cowboys play, and so it'll be a special moment. I know those ticket prices went up a little bit for me, but other than that, I mean, it's gonna be cool to play on Thanksgiving, have the prime time, have that 3 o'clock kick, and be able to go out there and play in front of hopefully a lot of my friends and family.
Have you been to one of those Thanksgiving games?
I haven't been to a Thanksgiving game. I obviously went to a lot of games growing up, and I played it there when I was in college. So it'll be exciting. My son's birthday is the day after, so hopefully we can find a way to win and then get to celebrate my son's birthday the day after that.
Sam? Patrick, a couple things. What's the importance of having Travis out here? And I know he wasn't here today, but he's been here.
Yeah, no, it's extremely important. I mean, just because whenever you have, like I always say this, whenever you have the guy that's already got the gold jacket on, if it's him or Chris Jones, and they're working hard and they're showing what it takes to be great, it's easier for me to talk to the young guys and say, like, when they're tired, that they need to keep working, they need to keep pushing, because they don't need to be here. I mean, they don't need to be here, and they're still going to go out there and have success on the field. They take care of their bodies and work hard in the offseason, and so for them to still show up and set that standard, it sets the standard for everybody else that's going on the practice field.
And then Xavier, where they wanted to ask you about him too. What did you learn about him those final 6-7 weeks maybe of this last year?
I think the biggest thing I learned is he's not. I mean, I knew this, but with more opportunities, he's not just fast. He can make plays, and you saw that with some of the contested catches that he made kind of towards the end of the season. If you think back to the Bills game, or even the last catch he had in the Super Bowl, I mean, he's someone that will go up and make a play on the football. And so my job is to give him more opportunities, even when he's running with someone and it's one-on-one, throw the ball, let him go up there and make a play. I think adding Hollywood being healthier and then having Rashee back out there is going to give him more and more opportunities to stretch the field down the field.
On the draft night, you posted a happy emoji when the team selected Josh Simmons. I guess just how excited are you to see him and maybe potentially have this left tackle in the future?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, just he's built like a left tackle. I think that's the biggest thing you see. I mean, obviously, we're building him up with coming off the injury, but he looks great. I mean, he's moving well. He's doing all the right things, and he's working extremely hard. And whenever I go by the training room, he's in the training room working to try to get back on that field as quickly as possible. And so, more than that, I think I think Veach and Coach Reid and all those guys, they brought in competition, and they want guys to go out there and be the best they can possibly be. And I'm excited for us to get through training camp and get to go against our defensive line, which will be a really good defensive line, and it'll be a great test for those guys to kind of prepare for the season.
Tom mentioned Rashee played most of the year without him. We've heard good things about what he's looked like. He wasn't out there today because I guess he's sick. But what's he look like for you right now?
I mean, he looks like Rashee. I mean, I think having the injury it sucked, but happening so early in the season, he was back like right when the offseason started, and so he was up here working hard, extremely hard, and he was back home working extremely hard, and so I was throwing with him in Dallas a little bit, and then getting him back out here, and there's no limitations. He's out there playing, he's making plays on the football field, he's explosive, he looks fast, and you saw the start of last season. I think he can be one of the best receivers in the league, and so just to have him, to add with Xavier and Hollywood and all these other guys that we have, it's another position I think Veach has done a great job of bringing in competition, so that we can go out there and make a lot of plays happen.
Matt? With the receiver group between the workouts in Texas and getting back here, what kind of stands out to you so far? And what have you kind of learned about maybe some of the new faces that you're throwing to?
We're fast. I think that's probably the thing that stands out the most. You talk about Xavier, Rashee, Hollywood, Thornton, Royals coming in. Like, we got guys that can roll, and our job is to test the defenses down the field, and we have to get back to doing that if we want to open up other guys underneath. So I think Coach Reid's challenged me this offseason to push the ball down the field, let guys have chances to make plays, and then once we get that back to where we want to in our standard that we believe we should have, then we can come back to the underneath stuff.
We'll do a few more. Herbie, Harold, and Steve. Go ahead, Herbie. Patrick, sticking along the same lines with the wide receiver group, Sky Moore, you got a good chance to look at him again during the offseason, but what are your expectations for him this season?
Yeah, his job is to come in here and compete. Sky always is one of the hardest working guys on the football field, and whenever his number's called, you see him go out there and he makes plays happen. And so, like I said, Veach has brought in such great competition in that room that it's you kind of go in with an open mind, and you let guys go out there and compete and try to see who the best 6, 7, 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever guys that is, make the team. But it's all about competing and making each other better.
Year down the road, but with the Olympics coming up and NFL players being allowed to play flag football, I know Travis has put his 2 cents in. I know you've said stuff before, but now that it's a thing, how much you try to petition Andy to try to play in that?
Yeah, I know it's awesome, honestly, just to be able to showcase the NFL to the whole world through flag football. But I'll probably leave that to the younger guys. I'll be a little older by the time that thing comes around.
Steve? Patrick, Pop went back to school, got his degree. What does that say about him that he's willing to get able to go do that?
Yeah, for sure. That's what you want in life. It's obviously we want to win football games and we want to win as many Super Bowls and everything as possible. But we want to become better people. And for Pop to go back and to get his degree, because he's an NFL player, he doesn't have to do that, and he wants to make not only himself better for the community, but generations to come and his family better by saying that he has a degree, and that's special, and I'm happy for him.
Thanks, Patrick.
All right, so that was Patrick Mahomes just at the end there. What stood out, we've talked a lot about the Olympics. He just basically just answered there. He doesn't have any interest in playing. Like, I want to leave that to the younger guys.
That was I wanted to see Patrick Mahomes with a gold medal.
That was the when we were talking about the assumption that he would be the quarterback. He's gonna be 33, but there'll be somebody else for Team USA. So that settles that. It sounds like.
I heard on the New Heights podcast, Jason and Travis were talking a little bit about it, and Jason was talking about the Doucette guy, talking about we don't need him. We're good enough. We think we're the best at the game because we've been playing it all these years. And Jason was very reasoned about it. He's like, look, I don't think they are. I don't think they're the best football. And he said the same thing. Like, you trying to tell me Jamar Chase, Tyreek Hill wouldn't have success in a flag football game? Thing. He's like, it's pretty simple. He said the same thing we did. Their team versus our team. You take your team, we take our team, and we just see who wins. Because we all know what would happen there, Drew. It'd be a massacre.
We think we know what would happen, but I'm just saying.
It'd be Pee-wee football versus the NFL.
All I'm saying is that there's no footage, but the Dream Team lost to a bunch of college players, and it happened. At this point, I'm not throwing anything away. The Dream Team lost to a bunch of college players at one time, and then they went on and swept everybody in the Olympics and made them look silly. I'm not saying I think it would happen either, but I want to see it though. You're
I
want to see him talk as
it's
much
also like a
as
thing
Daryl Doucette has, and we need to see it.
I kind of want them pitted against each other.
See it.
I think we'll have a good chunk of the roster being NFL players, but it makes sense. I mean, Mahomes will be 33 when it's happened. Doesn't mean he won't be a great quarterback in the NFL still, but from a flag football perspective, there probably is going to be some younger quarterbacks that are better options for that particular exact competition. Unfortunately, the Olympics are happening in 2028. If it was happening this summer, he would probably do it.
I wanted to see him with a gold medal, dude.
I know. That's really one thing he wanted. He would have had
That's something he would have had instead of Tom Brady.
Yep.
Man.
The more I think about it, we're talking 20. How old is Lamar Jackson? Lamar Jackson's 27.
Yeah, some of those guys will.
28. I don't know if Lamar Jackson will do it. It'll be Jane Daniels.
Well, it could be Arch Manning. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's a couple. I know. I'm just saying.
Maybe it'll be Doucette.
Yeah. He'll be 40, 39.
Dude, he's already 40.
That's why Patrick doesn't want to do
40.
it. He's going to leave it to Daryl to go out there.
At 45 years old, he's the Tom Brady of flag football, apparently.
I'm sure he'd like to claim that.
Same rules apply, though, is that it would be a national embarrassment if the United States does not win the gold medal in flag football. Okay? Football? That's only our sport.
Yeah.
We're the only ones who play it. You can't be... Look, we all understand we go to the World Cup and we watch, Argentina whip our ass. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It's a national sport, and people are a lot better at it than us.
Yeah.
On the men's side.
There will be plenty of options for Team USA to go win a gold medal when it comes to flag football in LA.
I do hope one Chief is on the roster. I'd love to be able to root for a Chiefs
I honestly don't know who it would be, though.
Xavier Worthy?
But with all due respect to him, as great as in the grand scheme of things in the entire NFL, he's not a top 3 receiver in the league.
No, but some guys just won't do it, as you and I know.
Yeah.
Some guys will be a little bit older. Maybe they skip on it for that reason, even though they're one of the better guys. I don't disagree with you. And I still wonder, I genuinely wonder how they'll factor in the
would you rather have Travis Hunter before him? You know what I mean?
I get him to play both. Travis Hunter might be the number 1 overall pick for
He should
Team
be a
USA.
serious consideration. 2 years from now, I know
he can play both?
For those that are saying, well, he hasn't even played in the league yet. Yeah, we were having the whole conversation about plenty of guys playing flag football that have never been in the league yet. That's the whole point.
He definitely would be
athleticism is off the charts.
Somebody said, I'd say Bo Nix, but he'll be 42 by then.
Jeez.
So we'll see. I think that settles it, though, if you were hoping Mahomes was going to play in Olympic. He just said he's leaving it to the younger guys. All right, up next, we're expected to hear from Xavier Worthy. It'll be the first time he speaks since an interesting offseason and where things are at with him off the field, heading into his second year. Plus, we'll see if we can sneak in a snitch line. We had to move some things back.
Not tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll try to sneak that in next.
What's up, Kansas City? This is Cole Reagans, and you're listening to Cody and Gold. Weekdays starting at 10 on 96.5 The Fan.
Brought to you by Heartland Men's Health, the leader in men's sexual health. Thousands of men have been successfully treated for low T, ED, and more, all with discretion and compassion. Make your appointment at heartlandmenshealth.com.
Reiselman Nissan, the king of midsize SUVs, has the ride you've been waiting for. Shop the best selection of Rogues and Kicks in Kansas City, with payments starting at just $399 a month. Plus, every day, Reiselman salutes our first responders and heroes with special discounts. With over 160 new Nissans on the lot, your perfect ride is waiting. Visit ReiselmanNissan.com today and experience royal treatment at Reiselman Nissan. Every customer, every time. Reiselman Nissan. Not all vehicles may apply. See dealer or check ReiselmanNissan.com for all details.
Tomorrow is First Inning Friday on FanDuel, where every week FanDuel is looking up at you and hooking you up as well with a special offer you can use on early game MLB action. Put your baseball knowledge to the test from the very first swing with no runs and yes runs first inning bets. Will anyone score in the game's first frame? Check each team's season stats right on the FanDuel app and make the call. Every inning in Friday games, every first inning, you can expect a special reward like a profit boost, a no sweat bet, or more. So make sure and come back every week to take another swing. Just visit FanDuel.com/Alex, America's #1 sportsbook, and make every moment more. 21 and present in Kansas. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas on an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
Hey, KC, it's almost Andy Reid. Renner Garage Door isn't just opening doors this month. They're opening hearts in support of Mental Health Awareness Month. Renner is donating 5% of all sales to Authentic Life Foundation, supporting vital mental health services to those in need. For supporting this cause, you'll get 5% off your project. Call or visit rennerdoor.com, where quality and compassion open doors to a better community.
RENNER
R-E-N-N-E-R.
Check engine or ABS light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
This summer, Casey's has 89-cent fountain and frozen drinks. But if you don't have 89 cents, you could check your center console, or dig between your couch cushions, or ask Grandma for $1, or just use your credit card. We take those too. 89-cent frozen and fountain drinks at Casey's, all summer long. Restrictions may apply. See store for details.
If you're trying to get through your daily activities and you're noticing you can't because you're focusing more on your pain than being able to enjoy the moment, those are the patients that we're looking to treat because we can make a difference.
That's Dr. Ashley Caravelli, a medical director for QC Kinetics.
What we're doing at QC Kinetics is offering treatments that help with joint preservation. We use cutting-edge technology in our in-house lab to harness your body's natural healing powers and target the areas where you need them the most.
These are regenerative, non-surgical treatments, and QC Kinetics is the nation's leader, delivering lasting relief to tens of thousands of patients.
What we do know is that the sooner we start treatment, the sooner you'll see relief.
So don't wait another minute. See if you're a good candidate for these non-surgical treatments for joint pain. The consultation is completely free.
Call QC Kinetics, 816-412-6299. That's 816-412-6299. 816-412-6299.
Hey there, Royals fans. It's Royals Hall of Famer Mike Sweeney. Have you or your kids experienced a high school coach who wants to make our Kansas City community a better place to live, work, and play? The Royals and the See You in the Major Leagues Foundation, together with Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City, are shining a spotlight on 6 impactful coaches in the KC metro area. Nominate a high school coach today at royals.com/coaches with character.
Huge news. Right now at Wendy's, you can get a Son of Baconator for just $3. I don't think you understand this situation. The Son of Baconator is only $3 for a limited time. You know, smoked bacon, rich melted cheese. That Son of Baconator is only $3. Thank you to whoever wished upon that star. For bacon that just won't quit, gotta be Wendy's.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii, not valid on a combo or on third-party delivery platforms.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
A clue.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent.
Aha.
So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle. Tide Free and Gentle provides an excellent Tide clean, and it doesn't leave behind irritating residues like dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on your skin.
Case closed.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle.
Do you think astronauts fight over elbow room? Probably. Because advanced tech doesn't always mean more space, until now. Introducing the Hyundai Ioniq 9, a 3-row electric SUV with over 300 miles of range, ultra-fast charging capability, and lots of space. The all-new Hyundai Ioniq 9, space in an EV. Visit HyundaiUSA.com or call 562-314-4603 for more details.
Ioniq 9 is available in extremely limited quantities at select dealers in select states only. EPA estimated range based on fully charged battery. For comparison purposes only. Actual range will vary based on several factors.
Get a $15 prepaid MasterCard after rebate when you buy 5 quarts of Mobil 1 full synthetic motor oil at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like you know to check for your wallet first, before hitting the drive-thru.
$6.
Sorry, forgot my wallet. I have change, though. Here's 40 cents, another 40. Ooh, a bicentennial.
What's that?
Oh, gosh.
Checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Get a $15 prepaid MasterCard after rebate when you buy 5 quarts of Mobil 1 full synthetic motor oil at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Brought to you by Climate Control Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing. Visit ClimateControlKC.com. Climate Control has been serving KC homeowners for over 35 years and know how to get your cooling system ready to handle the scorching hot summer. Schedule your AC system tune-up for just $59. Don't wait. Visit ClimateControlKC.com today. Climate Control Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios. What's trending?
What's Trending is presented by Baker University, where graduates earn higher salaries and land jobs faster than any other university in Kansas. Apply today at bakeru.edu. We'll actually start with the NCAA, who is today considering expanding the men's basketball tournament as soon as 2026. The expansion would bump it up to 72 teams. We talked about this a little bit earlier on the show. It has not been fully approved yet, but it seems like there's a lot of traction for it. Coaches are in support of it in the Big 12 and other conferences. I'm not a huge fan of it. I think it's obviously going to happen. I just don't think we're going to end up getting more of the mid-majors, and we're just going to get a bunch of average Power 5 schools that get in.
So what it was last year.
Rewarding a bunch of mediocre 12 best teams in a 16-team conference kind of thing. Coaches love it, and I get it, because some of them get incentives for tournament berths. Some of them will retain their job. They can say, hey, I went to 3 tournaments, even though I won 17 games a year to get in.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. But it's at the same time, it's...
Because, they go to 72, then they'll want to go to, 84, and then 96, and next thing you know, we're going to have 105 teams in this thing, 106 teams in this thing.
Yeah, probably. I mean, if you consider the percentage of the number of teams available, it's not that crazy.
I know.
Obviously, they just already view it as this big thing, and so they're not going to want to, shift off of that necessarily. And I do kind of get it. I don't really care whether they had more or not. Next up on What's Trending, the Royals Stadium seems to have been given a slight update on the Royals front yesterday as they released a statement admitting that they were a part of the they had an outside party, work on buying the lease for the 119th and null site over the town center location, so we'll see if that means anything. Mostly, it seems like they're putting a little bit of pressure on Missouri to work through their stuff early next week. Really, they've said that they do not have a for-sure site chosen on the Missouri or the Kansas side, but they've been continuing to vet on both sides. But the fact that they mentioned the Hesperia campus makes most people think that would be their preferred location.
Yeah, they singled out that, and it was a purchase of a mortgage, basically the debt at that particular location. All right, elsewhere, NBA postseason continues. The Thunder are on to the NBA Finals. They destroyed the Minnesota Timberwolves last night. They await the winner, potentially tonight's game. It could be over after tonight, and we could have our matchup. We'll see. Knicks-Pacers Game 5 this evening. If the Pacers win, of course, they will move on, and we will get a Thunder and Pacers NBA Finals. The schedule for the finals is out. I think the first game is June 5th. And if it goes to a Game 7, it'll run all the way up to the 22nd or so.
Take way too many days off, in my opinion, in the finals. But I don't know. Kind of hope the Knicks make it a series tonight. It's been a little bit too much of a blowout. Hasn't been exciting, at least on that end. Next up on What's Trending, the Royals did get, by the way, they closed out and did not get swept yesterday, which was big. Obviously against Hunter Green, got the win. Noah Cameron has a 1.05 ERA. Seth Lugo is expected to rejoin the rotation this week, with Cole Reagans joining early next week. So we might talk more about it as it gets in there, but go live early in the show if you missed it. And then tough choices. I asked around the organization a little bit. It's not that they would never consider a 6-man rotation under any circumstance, but one thing that was pointed out as a problem to me, Gold, is that every single Monday in June, except the last one, is an off day. So a 6-man rotation is essentially a 7-man rotation. Once you start playing it out that direction, you run into a little bit of issues.
That's why a lot of teams don't do it. Very few. Very, very few. That's what's trending here on Cody and Gold. We already heard from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, but Xavier Worthy also speaking to the media. Voluntary OTAs is underway. The latest on his offseason, obviously. This is the first time he spoke since the incident that took place, and now looking ahead for the rest of the offseason.
Xavier, how's the extra work with Patrick Mahomes over this offseason down in Texas to now help you evolve as you get into your second year here?
It feels good to be able to get this experience. Last year I was hurt with a hamstring, so just to have this role and this level of just extra training, it's good to get that kind of rapport with him.
What have you worked on specifically though, like in Texas and all that? Is it route running? Is it just where the ball's gonna be? How's he working on?
Just understanding like what he wants and how he wants it. Really, I feel like last year was kind of just rushing into things in training camp. I just kind of get thrown in the fire in training camp. So just learning what he likes and what fits best what we do.
When you compare this time this year to last year at this time, I guess just mentally, how further along do you feel, and how is that helping you in the develop in that sense?
I feel mentally, I feel like I'm the same as last year, just the physical aspect. Last year I was hurt, and this year I'm kind of getting into it, and I kind of got a better feel for things.
Xavier, how important was the second half of last year and moving around a little bit to your comfort of just wherever you're placed in the offense this year?
Yeah, like you said, the end of last year was kind of like a stepping stone for me. Just learning and kind of getting a better feel for what Pat likes, and I started feeling like that got better at the end of the year. So just continue that and use that momentum.
How do you feel like your growth is as a football player from obviously when you first got here to now?
Man, I understand the offense. I feel way more comfortable just being out there. I understand it. I don't have to really think a lot. I just be on the fly.
There are no OTA practices or light. It looked like you had a one-handed catch out there today. I guess, what did you see on that play?
Oh, man. Pat just threw the ball, and I just reflexes.
Patrick Mahomes said that this is a really fast team, and he's looking forward to, all the receivers. Just as a receiver who is fast, what do you have to say about just this group of guys?
Oh, man, we got a lot of fast receivers, but Taekwon called me out last year. Well, right after the Super Bowl, he called us out, but I feel like I'm the fastest. But Hollywood, Taekwon, we got a lot of guys that's out there ready to compete and a lot of guys ready to go get the ball deep.
How impressed have you been with Taekwon? It seems like he's kind of coming to his own a little bit.
Yeah, he's a really good receiver. I feel like we got him a little late last year, and he has a chance to get on the roster and make a lot of plays.
The second half of the Super Bowl was obviously unusual circumstances, but I wonder how much you feel like that, displayed a dimension that you guys really can have, the long balls and the ability to break a defense down that way.
Yeah, it kind of just showed what's here to come in the future.
Xavier, you a veteran now, right? You got some young guys in the room, Royals.
So according to them, I'm still a rookie.
Really? How much are they leaning on you to ask you the questions?
they still ask you some questions, but according to them, I'm still a rookie.
Hey, Xavier, obviously some off-field deadlines this past. What have you learned from the last few months? I guess what do you take away from the experiences the last few months?
I kind of just want to stay football. I don't want to talk about my personal life.
How much were you watching the combine with your dad, Golden, and not catching your time?
Yeah, they was talking a lot of crap, so I kind of talked a little back.
All right, thanks, Xavier.
All right, so that was Xavier Worthy, Chiefs wide receiver. That the locker room still is calling him a rookie, giving him a hard time.
Taekwon Thornton is getting a lot of praise.
That's
Mahomes
twice
mentioned
today.
him.
Yeah.
Xavier's mentioned him. I mean, all of a sudden,
Taekwon. Yeah,
so
but you
Taekwon,
can't trust Mahomes. He said great things about Sky Moore and Justin and a million other bad wide receivers. Dude, you can't. He's too close.
He was asked about Sky Moore. He was not asked about Taekwon Thornton. He mentioned Taekwon.
He's too close, dude. It's like asking a grandma if her grandkids are cute. It's too close. He's too close.
So Taekwon Thornton, for those who don't know, he was on the Patriots the first 3 years of his career, second-round draft pick. He turns 25 in August. He's got like 330 yards in his NFL career so far.
Total.
If you tell me that he's a guy that makes the roster instead of Sky Moore as a sixth receiver, okay, well then fine. But we don't need to act like this is the whole thing with. We can act like undrafted guys or draft are great. We don't need to talk about them as if they are. Suddenly going to be huge factors for the team.
I'm saying, in terms of what they want to do, that was the main thing for him coming out of college. That man is fast.
Sure, but so is Hollywood Brown and so is Xavier Worthy, and they're just better wide receivers.
Tyreek Hill is one of the fastest guys in the league, or was for a long time, and are better. It just depends. You can be fast, and it just depends on the player. There's lots of fast guys who stunk.
What's best case? By the way, best case scenario for him is just making the team.
Best case scenario is him and Jalen Rose.
He's battling for a job.
Is Sky Moore? He takes Juju's job.
I think he takes Sky Moore. I think if you told me you swap him with Sky Moore with him,
the best person job
yes.
you can take a Sky Moore job. And I don't even see Sky Moore is right now. How many wide receivers do they typically carry? 6 or 7?
Right.
Okay, so let's just go through.
Rashee,
Rice, and Worthy.
Yes.
Juju's not.
Royals making the team, obviously.
Royals going to make the team.
I think Juju's making the team, guys.
I would say Juju. Yeah.
Juju's there, but I think if it's between him and Thornton, because Sky I think is out. I think we all agree Sky's out.
Yeah. So Thornton's in, and then so Worthy, Brown, Rice, Thornton, Royals, Juju. That's 6 already.
We're not even counting the guys. That's not even counting the special teams guys that will make the roster as wide receivers because they're better at special teams.
Nico
Remigio.
So all I'm saying is Taekwon Thornton making the team would be a huge accomplishment. That's
making making the 53-man roster would be wow, you must have had a nice camp.
Mm-hmm.
And still wouldn't guarantee him.
Yeah, I mean, Sky Moore, I think we all recognize where that thing is trending. He'll be at camp, and barring a huge stutter.
We didn't even mention. There's way too many people in the way.
Yeah, I think I said the 6, including Hollywood. But the Sky Moore, I mean, he's going to be at camp. No reason not to have him at camp, but come on now. I think his time is probably done in Kansas City.
Logically, yeah. I mean, I don't know how many career yards he has. Probably more than Taekwon Thornton. Ooh, is it close? All right now, Drew, don't look. Who has more career receiving yards, Tyquan Thornton or Sky Moore?
Sky Moore.
He's really trying to think about it. All right,
Sky
what's
Moore.
the number?
Sky Moore has 494, and I mentioned Thornton's got like 338 or something.
Oh, man. Crushed.
Beautiful.
Got him buried. You think that guy's taking Sky Moore's job?
Both second-round picks. Both been in the league for 3
They
years.
were picked one pick apart.
All I'm saying
They were picked
is
in the
that
same group of 3 or 4 players with George Pickens.
all I'm saying is that one person was brought up out of their way. The other one was mentioned because he was asked about that.
Tyquan Thornton is the pick the Chiefs traded to New England so they could take Tyquan Thornton. And then they traded back a couple of spots and took Sky Moore.
I'm just
No,
saying.
I hear you, Drew. My only thing would be
Sky Moore hasn't even shown the speed that he apparently showcased
for
in college.
sure. Oh,
I mean, at least Tyquan Thornton's quick still.
debating.
Is he?
Like nobody's debating about.
Is he just running laps? Because he's not displaying it by catching the football.
According to what they're saying during camp, in terms of fast wide receivers, what they want to do, Tyquan Thornton fits the mold.
Yeah, I mean, there's a difference between. It's fine. It doesn't matter because we're talking about the 6th receiver. But like,
I can't believe.
like,
I can't. You're kidding me. I can't on a Thursday. You're gonna waste my time with Tyquan Thornton.
They were asked twice about it, or he was mentioned twice.
You're right. That is factually correct. That is 100% factually correct. My only thing would be.
True.
Xavier Worthy was talking about the speed of the off, and he's like, "Yeah, we got guys. We got He was just listing off guys that are fast. He didn't say, you know what, Tyquan Thornton looks better than everybody else out there, and I can't believe it. That would be notable.
He's
that would
pretty
be
much
notable.
Jerry Rice and
he's just saying,
reincarnate.
we got a bunch of fast guys, and Tyquan Thornton is one of them.
I gotta say,
I'm just saying. I think
I don't even think even in OTAs we should be asking about Sky Moore. I mean, we don't have that. I mean, there aren't anything else. I'd rather ask him about his.
Yeah, why are we
his
asking
Bobby
about Sky
Shoop
Moore?
workout
That
routine?
didn't make any sense. I'm surprised that we got a Sky Moore question already.
So help
I
me.
was surprised.
Like, I mean, that's fallen one short of asking about like
it's voluntary OTAs.
James Winchester's offseason. Like, he's gonna get more snaps.
That's not that bad.
Look, if someone says Thornton had bad quarterback play, I understand. But here, this goes back. This is the same thing with the Justin Ross stuff, though. In general, when we talk about these guys, like, there's reasons that a skill set why they might be exciting,
And why
no
they might
doubt.
look good with pads.
No
and running
question.
laps.
But best case scenario is he makes the team and he's like the 5th or 6th receiver. There's no scenario where Tyquan Thornton is having a huge impact on the 2025 NFL season with the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm sorry. Like, can you have one game, Cody, where he has 3 big catches? Sure. But things would have to go terribly wrong. Brown, Worthy, Rice.
And mind you,
and
3
Royals.
catches would be more than Sky did the entire season in one game.
Right, but we don't have to. That's why we talk about these names, and it's fine. It's OTAs. We'll be at training camp soon, and there's a chance these guys make the team. But we don't need to spend a ton of time and act like the 6 receivers having a massive impact on the 2025 Chiefs. And that's why it's like it doesn't even really matter. We've already spent way too much time talking about
I'm never saying. I'm just not saying he is. I'm just saying if there's a spot where all of a sudden they just throw a random guy in there, like they randomly brought Juju in to run
Fine,
a player
he'll get
or 2
3
for him,
snaps in the game.
And it's always just like, I guess part of it is like,
and it might work.
we can always like poke holes in it.
Really well.
The thing is always, hey, Sky Moore had Mahomes throwing past his entire career. Tyquan Thornton didn't. Tyquan Thornton also was competing against future Home Depot employees at wide receiver and couldn't beat them out. They had no one at wide receiver. He couldn't even get his ass on the field, let alone who was throwing to him, Drew. He couldn't beat out nobodies.
I'm just
We've
saying.
openly mocked New England's wide receiver.
I think it
unit.
means
I don't know, man. I hope
something.
Tyquan Thornton's good. Who cares?
I think it
I
means
hope he has
something when the
10,000 yards this year.
quarterback and when another wide receiver in the room mentions in terms of because Xavier was not just asked about the room, he was asked about the speed in the room and what they could be. And he said we could be something or it could be a change. And he mentioned Tyquan Thornton and Jalen Royals after that. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised because we've seen that. We've seen Cole Hartman get significant snaps. We see Kaderi, like Juju. These guys, I don't think either of them.
McCall was never listed 6th on the depth chart, though.
Can we also admit context here? Like, Rashee Rice wasn't even at practice. There's only so many people running around.
Rashee Rice is sick.
Yeah, but everybody's getting reps. It's, again...
yes, everybody's getting reps, exactly.
Andy was asked about Justin Ross after we couldn't play him, after we were having issues. He mentioned he mentioned Justin Ross. Juju was not mentioned. Sky Moore was mentioned to Andy. Justin Ross.
I got to talk about anybody besides Thornton.
Justin Ross and Sky Moore got mentioned.
Can we talk Jack Caglianone or something with like real potential?
Go ahead and yes, and the show on a good note.
Yeah, you know, Jack Caglianone. How about the bounce back, Gold? 0 for 5 2 days ago. 3 strikeouts, panic in the streets. It wasn't that. I'm over exaggerating that. You're gonna go see him this weekend in Omaha.
Yes.
You decided against a first pitch and ceded it to Dusty instead.
That's right. Well, in fairness, we were both offered. Dusty was always going to be able to throw it as well. They offered it to both of us, and I said I'm good. And so yeah, that's Saturday night in Omaha. Yeah.
But all that being said, Jack Caglianone had his worst game as a pro. He had an 0 for 5 night. He struck out 3 times. He looked lost to the plate, left some guys on base. He came back the next night, went 3 for 4 with a double. It doesn't, like, even when he has a bad night, it doesn't matter. Jack Caglianone is now in 8 games, small sample size, admittedly, hitting .343 in AAA with an 1151 OPS. In his minor league career right now, he's hitting .330. And that was the interesting thing J.J. Cooper had said earlier, which is, I don't expect him to hit, he thinks he's going to be like a 260 Major League Baseball hitter, which is fine and a pretty good sign that even a guy at the complaints of the chase rate and the things that happen there, that he's hitting for average now at lower competition. He's hitting .326 in the minors this year with a .387 on-base percentage and a nearly 1,000 OPS. He has, 14 homers in 46 games. I don't know what that would work out to over a 162-game season, but probably pretty good, Gold. That would work out to a 49 home run season in 162 games. He has a chance to lead the minors if he played the entire year, which he won't, in RBI and home runs. So, when we asked J.J. Cooper for a comp, because you and I both knew that J.J. Piccolo had already told us Pete Alonso, and then we had, who came on with us last week?
Jim Callis.
Jim Callis said a big Shohei Ohtani. I was excited about his comp, and he dropped yet another pretty good one. Where he's like, I don't know, maybe Giancarlo Stanton. You're like, okay. Looked it up. Giancarlo Stanton's got like 430 career home runs. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited about Jack Caglianone.
I as well. I think it was big.
This might be your only chance to catch him in Omaha.
I know. Well, this was I'm not even kidding. The day that he got called up from AA, Desi and I hopped on and bought tickets because we were like, this is the first weekend series in Omaha. And yeah, there's a chance that it's his only weekend series in Omaha if he really were destroyed. Otherwise, my guess is he's going to at least finish out the homestand, the 2-week homestand, and then they'll reevaluate and see where things are at. That puts you a week or two into June. There's the Super 2 stuff. There's
games,
all that comes into play, and we'll see. But I thought it was big that he bounced back after the 0 for night the night before.
Yeah, it's big. It was, yeah, for sure. I don't want to miss it while I'm at dance comp in
There's
Texas.
a risk there for you, I will say.
God, it's not like I can't control the timing.
No, of course not. You got to do your
Gotta be
life.
safe.
Yeah, I mean, there's a chance. Yeah, there's definitely a real possibility in that window. We'll see.
There's about a 30% chance I tear an ACL today because I'm taking my kids. They had their half day today for school, and after school, I'm taking them to this thing called Epic Bounce. It's like an Independence. It's like a gigantic, humongous. I don't know if they call it the world's biggest bounce house. And because I know that my son's going to want me in there, the odds of me getting seriously hurt in a bounce house feel plausible, just knowing my current body. Are you going to look at a photo of it?
No, I was.
That would give you an answer.
No, I kind of can picture the place you're talking about.
I mean, I don't think. Yeah, you don't actually need an image to see what it looks like. He'd asked like a week ago. He said, "Can we go on the last day of school?" I said, "Yeah, sure, man." Problem is like obstacle course and stuff. Maybe they won't need me to. Maybe won't ask me to tag along. Bring in one of their friends. Maybe they'll just they'll figure it out that way. This just feels like how I eventually injure myself. I have to miss time due to,
do you have to jump? Like, do you have to act? Why your kids can? Why do you have to do it?
Well, I don't. Look, I'd be fine to just sit there. My son is very much. He is in his phase of like he wants participants in his life in the sense that like this morning I was playing Super Mario 3D World with him. It's not that I was dying to play Super Mario 3D World. At 7:30 a.m., he wanted somebody to play along. So sometimes I play Mario or Mario Kart or those games, right? He doesn't want to hit baseball off a tee. He wants to be pitched to. So like when we get out there, there's a pretty good chance he's going to want me to bounce around. Otherwise, yeah, I'd be fine to sit.
Yeah.
I don't personally need the enjoyment. The trampoline parks are way more fun than the bounce house. Well, I don't know. This one's pretty sweet. And they're only open for a couple of months, so like maybe it'll be just as much fun.
It's only open a few months.
I think they're open like all the way through like into like this time early school year through like July or before it gets cooked.
Sure.
So you only got a little bit of a chance to